Metallica, here they come, the kings of metal.
So fucking what?
Paul.
Guys, I'm right here, and you're listening to Metal Up Your Podcast.
Welcome to Metal Up Your Podcast. I'm Ethan Luck.
And I'm Clint Wells.
He is Clint Wells, and this is episode 114, and we're tackling 2 years this week because not a lot happened outside of touring. So we're talking about 93 and 94 years in the life of Metallica.
Yeah, we've done these before where we had to combine the years because other than touring, there wasn't a lot of notable events. So this will be no different. If you're joining us for the first time, we're an all Metallica podcast. Ethan and I are two professional touring musicians. We get together once a week, even when we're out on the road, to talk about our favorite band. Hands down, it's got to be Metallica. And tonight you were on the road on your first leg of shows with the great Need to Breathe. So where are you at tonight?
I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. We played here last night at the Orpheum Theater, and we got a day off today, stayed here, and head to Ames, Iowa tomorrow. By the time this episode drops, I will have finished this weekend of shows, but I'm going home for a few days next week and then pick back up after that.
So for our listeners who might be interested in coming to the show, maybe they're Need to Breathe fans, maybe they've never heard of the band, they want to say hi to you, what are some of the shows that are relevant to the time where this episode will be released that some fans can come check out? Okay,
well, as of today, Monday, when this episode is out, I'm home for a few days, but then starting Thursday, February 28th, I'll be in New Orleans, then Jackson, Mississippi, Montgomery, Alabama, the birthplace, by the way, this is an important historical fact, the birthplace of Sir Clint Wells, Huntsville, Alabama, Tampa, Florida, Plant City, Florida, at the Florida Strawberry Festival. That'll actually be a non-acoustic show. We're doing a full rock show, which will be my first one with them, which will be fun.
Awesome.
Fort Lauderdale, Savannah, Columbia, South Carolina, Knoxville's the day off, sorry. Louisville, Asheville, Greensburg, a lot of cities. And this thing goes till, there's 3 legs of it. It goes till the end of May. So it's a long, long tour. So go to Need to Breathe's website or Songkick, wherever you guys look at tour dates. And there's a date you see, and I'm going to be there. Shoot me an email, metalupyourpodcast@gmail.com. And if I can get 1 or 2 of you into the show, I'll do my best. I'm not really sure yet. I haven't dealt with that yet. I'm only 4 shows in with these guys. So definitely don't want to overstep my welcome here, overstay my welcome, overstep my boundaries, overstay my boundaries.
Don't do that. Or maybe you should do that. Maybe it hurt. Maybe it cuts like a knife, but it feels so right. I don't know.
I'm not really sure yet. But yeah, if you guys want to come out to a show at the very least, or if you're a Need to Breathe fan, you got tickets for the show already, come out. Let me know. I'll make sure I can come by and say hi to you. Maybe grab an ice water since I'm not drinking on this tour.
I would encourage you all to do it if you can, because I've known the Need to Breathe guys for a long time. They're a great band, cool dudes, and support live music, all et cetera, et cetera. Ethan's got a live record out, or not a live record. Ethan's got a record out called Let It Burn, a great record he made with Paul Moak. I play guitar on it. You can get that wherever you buy records. I think it's smlxl.com is where you can buy the vinyl.
Yep.
And we love the vinyl over here in our house. So it's good that you're out on the road, dude. And
yeah, man,
this is our first remote episode in a while, so we're kind of going to be getting back in the groove of that.
That's right.
Now, if you like the show, we talk about it every week, but we got to. It's important. We got to take some responsibility here. We've got the iTunes. If you haven't done it, go leave us a positive review. It only takes a second. We really appreciate it. It's one of the easiest ways to support the show, other than telling your buddies about it. Maybe you've got a blog or a podcast of your own. You can mention this on all that. If you got a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, if you wanted to say, hey, here's a link to these guys. I think they're cool. If you want to get involved on a deeper level, we have what's called the Patreon. You're going to hear a commercial about that later, but we try to give all sorts of things to those people as a way to say thank you. It's kind of a way to financially support the show. Because this stuff takes time. It takes time out of our normal jobs, our families. As we roll into year 3, getting support at that level really keeps us excited about this work and growing the show. So
that's right, yeah.
The thing I was thinking about the other day, Ethan, is like the OG patrons who've been on the ride the whole time have just been slowly sort of acquiring goodies over there.
Yep.
But if you were to sign up tomorrow for Patreon at the $5 level, you immediately get like cover Our World Blackened Volume 1, cover Our World Blackened Volume 2, 3 Lunar Satan songs, just a bunch of shit that's just sitting over there waiting for the people who sign up. So
yeah, exactly. And I think sometime next week I'm going to throw up a B-side for my record that only a few people got. I thought it'd be a fun thing, whether you like the reggae music or not. I thought it'd be a fun extra little bonus track to throw up on Patreon.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I want to hear that myself. I did just get in from our friend Joey, who sent us a tin of the Hakeem from Coming to America.
Oh, yes.
The Funko Pop dolls, which we're going to give those away to patrons. We give away the deluxe box sets, rare vinyl, all that stuff. We really do our best, if I do say so myself, to put a lot of value over there as a way to say thank you for people who support the show. Now, at the bare minimum, we like to give people a shout out. We have a buttload of new patrons.
Oh, we got a bunch.
So let's read some of their names and say thanks.
All right, we got Andrew Jordan, Mike Garcia increases pledge, Raul Cueva, Christian Poste, Ralph Cevetto increased their pledge, and go ahead and Clint.
Zach Carpenter increased his pledge, Mike Thomas, Jesse House increased their pledge, Ramesh Raghuthaman, and Daryl Lewis. So let's give it up for the patrons.
All right.
We really do appreciate that. And we're on all the socials. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, all the stuff that you can find podcasts. We are fairly interactive, mostly on Twitter and Instagram. We do Instagram lives. We anytime we do our radio episodes, we do AMAs where you can ask us whatever you want. We usually do that. We kind of get the most traction for that on Instagram, and we try to make it funny and fun. And so if you're on all that stuff, go find us there. metalupyourpodcast.com is where you can get information about merch, other podcasts we've been on. Speaking of that, real quick, my friends Dwight and Patty are in a really great Austin-based rock band called The Wind and the Wave. I played on their first record. Dwight produces all of Bob Schneider's records. We've been tight for a long time, toured for a while. They have a cool podcast all about the creative process called The Dwight and Patty Show. I am the guest for the next 2 weeks, talking about my songwriting, being a professional touring guitar player, deep dives into Nashville culture, what it's like to be here, like kind of like a normal blue-collar guy making music professionally. So if that sounds
very cool,
if that sounds interesting to any of you out there, I wonder sometimes if there are people out there that are like Ethan people or Clint people, and the Ethan people are like, fuck that.
I don't want to hear that.
Sounds horrible.
2 weeks? Are you kidding me?
And each episode are actually 2 weeks long episodes, so it's
it's a lot of content.
It's quite a commitment. It's about 7,000 hours each. Now, before we get into the emails, which by the way, questions, concerns, comments, feedback, whatever you want, metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. I assure you, Ethan and I read and respond to every email, and we read a handful. We're going to read some in a minute. Unfortunately, before we got that, we need to talk about this Ryan Adams thing, because I know we mentioned him on the show a lot. I know you're not a big fan, but I was a huge fan, and our fans kind of are wanting to hear us talk about this a little bit. So
it's a bummer.
It's a bummer.
Even as a non-fan, I mean, it's a total bummer. It's you've been a fan for a long time. You've collected a lot of his stuff on vinyl, and he's been a big inspiration for you. And I'm sure it was pretty crushing, as a fan, to be like, oh my god, like all this stuff happened.
Well, let me briefly sort of catch everyone up. Now, I'm sure a lot of our listeners know who he is, but I bet a lot of them don't. Bryan Adams is sort of a indie darling Americana alt country guy. He's not just that, but that's kind of what he's known for. In the late 90s, he was in a very popular alt country band called Whiskey Town. He made his first solo record, I believe, in 2000 with Ethan Johns, Gillian Welch, David Rawlings, a very popular record called Heartbreaker, which is kind of considered a quintessential alt country record.
Yeah.
He then went on to make kind of this great 70s AM radio record called Gold, and he had a big hit called New York, New York that coincided with 9/11. He was touring with Alanis Morissette. After that, he made a bunch of critically acclaimed sort of art records that dipped into kind of Smithsy, Oasisy, British pop punk stuff, and he makes punk records, psychedelic Grateful Dead kind of records, kind of classic sounding American Springsteen type records. He's super prolific, and but also kind of known as like an interesting personality. And a big New York Times article came out on, I believe it was Valentine's Day, where 7 women, including his ex-wife of 6 years, Mandy Moore, have accused him of sort of a pattern of manipulation, coercion, harassment, and abuse, a lot of it tied to sex. It's Phoebe Bridgers, kind of an up-and-coming indie superstar. My friend Courtney J is in this article.
Crazy.
2 of the women are anonymous. And they're basically saying that Ryan would seek them out. It's also the chick Leah Hayes from Scary Mansion. Profess to be big fans of their work, get them to come to his studio under the auspices of he would produce their new record. He would take them on tour with them. And then it would just sort of get creepy from there. Some of them he tried to sleep with, some of them he didn't. Some of them they dated for a little while, and then he became insanely jealous. And then when they would decline his advances, he basically ghosted them. So basically kind of a creep asshole who put women in a lot of uncomfortable spots professionally and sexually.
Totally.
So there's that. So I want you guys to kind of keep in your mind 2 things hovering. There's that hovering. Also in the article is a girl named Ava, which I believe is a pseudonym, is claiming that when she was 14, she's 20 now, when she was 14, her and Ryan had a 9-month-long internet sexual relationship in which they were sexting and sending each other naked pictures and having phone sex and Skype sex, which, as I'm sure you all know, is super duper illegal.
Very, very illegal.
Because a 14-year-old is a child.
Yes.
And so now Ryan Adams is under a federal investigation. The FBI are involved. His 3 records that were coming out this year have been canceled. His tour is canceled. Just a massive, disgraceful fall.
Very, very disgraceful. Yeah.
And so I guess even the 2 things that for us to sort of camp out in that I think our listeners would be interested to hear our perspective on is, number 1, addressing the sort of age-old power inequality and the misogyny within the music industry and the problems there. And then also, what do you do? Can you separate the art from the artist? What do you do? For you, it's not as complicated because you didn't really like his music anyway. But for me, moving forward and listening to his music. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, I think if you pay attention to the music industry and have for a long time, it's been going on for decades, still goes on today, that, I mean, it's a very male-dominated industry, unfortunately. You know, it's been that way for a long time. I mean, I think it's turning a little bit, but not nearly as much as I wish it would. Because I'm a huge fan of a lot of female artists, and I wish there were, more out there making great records and being at the top of the charts and being the ones that are on the award shows and stuff like that. And it sucks. It's just one of those things that, like, men have kind of owned that world for a long time, and really in the entertainment industry in general. I think whether it's TV, film, or music. And, in these kind of cases, it's like you have these girls that look up to this guy and love his music, love his work ethic, love his songwriting and all this stuff, and see a great opportunity where he's like offering, like, oh, I could do this for you and help you in this way and stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, this is a dream come true. And it's very manipulative, and it's almost to the point where, like, these women might have been pretty blinded by what the truth was, because they're in a position where they're trying to work their career and get better and become maybe more popular and sell more records and reach a wider audience. And they might look at this as an opportunity and just a really nice guy that wants to help me out. But unfortunately, his intentions are otherwise. Well,
yeah. And it doesn't really seem to be like, I mean, because there is a part of me where that if you're keeping these things hovering in your mind, okay. And one of the problems with the New York Times article is that it really conflates these 2 issues. So the one issue is that he's a creep who uses his power as a gatekeeper and a tastemaker to negotiate sex with people, which sucks, which is complete bullshit. But also not a crime. On the other hand, this alleged interactions with the kid is a total fucking disgusting crime.
Oh yeah.
So there's some work to do as an adult parsing some of this out. Now, with Mandy Moore saying he was emotionally abusive and he was a shitty husband and he discouraged me from making music, there's some of me that's like, okay, well, you were in a bad relationship. A lot of people are in bad relationships with buttholes. Like, I was in a bad marriage too, you know? I think there's some, you have to just tease out what's different about that than with him. Now, the other thing I will say about like him with Phoebe Bridgers and with my friend Courtney J, this pattern of using his music to coerce sex with people, other women have come out since the article. Natalie Prass, Liz Phair, Jenny Lewis, Jack White's ex-wife, Karen something. So it really does seem like a lot of women that have crossed his path are basically saying this is what he's like. And even his male friends like Jason Isbell and his band have all come out against him and said he's a horrible person, and they knew that some of this weird stuff was going on. And
it's sickening, man. It really sucks. And it's like, I don't know. It's like he was a very well respected artist and songwriter and all that stuff, but like I think he kind of just flew just barely under the radar for so long because he wasn't this mega superstar. You know, I think he was able to kind of be in that indie rock world for so long, and that you know, this stuff slowly started happening. And like a lot of cases, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves when something like this comes out is when there's always some idiot online in some comment section that's like, why don't you say something when it happened? You know what I mean? It's like, well, you know, you might think when this happened to you, you're the only one this has happened to, and who's going to believe you over Ryan Adams? You know?
See, and that's when you get into that's when you really start to get into what's messed up about the power inequality is,
right.
If it comes down to a he said, she said, and if you're a struggling female artist, which by the way, I've toured with forever, they are definitely dealing with more bullshit than our male counterparts.
Yes,
at
agreed.
every level of the gig, at the venue, with the promoter, with management, with booking, with fans, and sometimes with band members.
Right. We talked a little bit about that with Lizzie a few weeks ago.
Right. And so,
you know,
so they're having to just traverse through a mile of bullshit that's not the same, and so. In some ways, this type of watershed moment is indicative of where it's moving, and it's good. And I also want to draw attention to, you know, it's not just the music industry or the entertainment industry. This is happening to women in all jobs.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm sure there are a lot of dudes that are real freaked out right now because they've thought they've gotten away with a lot of bullshit. So as horrified as I am because it's an artist that I mean, honestly, man, I looked up to that dude so much, and he was such an inspiration in terms of like his prolific output and his ability to write outside of a lot of different genres of music.
Right. Yeah.
So in terms of separating the artist from the art, I mean, I'm definitely not wanting to listen to his music right now. And I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I will anymore. I might though, but it's definitely going to take time. I'm not tempted at all to listen to his music.
Right. Yeah. It'd be tough for me. Like, I mean, I think my gut, I would say like, yeah, I can't, even if it was one of my favorite artists, if it was someone from the Clash or, you know, the Living End or whatever band I love, you know, it would, I don't know. I think I would just kind of get that sick feeling in my stomach all of a sudden when I heard their voice. It's like when you have a really good relationship with somebody forever and they screw you over and you break up, like when you hear their voice or see their picture, you're like, oh, it just brings back some stuff, you know?
Well, especially because all of his songs are about relationships.
Right. Like that's where like separating the art from the artist gets weird with a guy like this, because there's a good chance that like these experiences that like he made kind of happen and destroyed made their way into his music too. Right. You know, right. Which could come across as a love song or a breakup song or something where people are like, oh, it's a beautiful song, but it's actually about him screwing over Phoebe Bridgers or something, you know, like we don't know, but I mean, I don't know. It'd be as much as it'd be hard for me, let's say it happened to James Hetfield, it'd be like, well, shit, like this podcast is over and I can't listen to Metallica anymore. It would be tough for me to imagine not listening to Metallica ever again.
I think it would end the podcast if something like that came out with Metallica. I think we would have to be done. In terms of the song and what was the song a product of this kind of abuse, we'll never know. I think getting to that's a little murky, but because I think in some ways too, the power of a song transcends the artist. And you have your own memories with the songs or the records or the body of work.
Right.
I'm not real tempted to go into all that right now because it's just I'm not a little nauseated by it. But in the future, I may not be. And people have been asking me a lot, what do you think about listening to his music still? And I just think that's a personal decision. I don't think I would be comfortable telling anyone what they can and can't listen to. I know what I'm willing to do and not do.
Yeah.
I'm still willing to listen to Guns N' Roses and Kiss. I still watch Woody Allen films. I still watch Roman Polanski films. You have to just be an adult and parse all that out for yourself and be a big boy or girl. And I think prescribing a blanket morality to how people engage art by people who are disappointing publicly, that's not really going to work for me. So sure. For those of you who are big fans struggling out there with it, there's a lot of people that are really disappointed. It just really sucks. It's been a really weird couple of weeks for those of us who love that music. So
and he's definitely the kind of artist that like people. It's not just like, oh, I think he's cool and his songs sound good. It's like people have like we do with maybe Metallica or certain artists like a Bruce Springsteen or Elvis Costello. It becomes a personal connection to certain songs, like where it got you through a hard time, or it was your wedding song, or something that's very, very personal to you. Where it's beyond the point of just being like a casual fan.
Right.
So it makes the sting even worse.
Yeah, and I think we should maybe end it by saying, even though I think there's some gray areas with some of that stuff, I wholeheartedly stand by the women who were victims of this shit. And
agreed.
I think any woman or man out there listening, I don't want there to be any unsureties about where you and I stand on that. So
agreed. Yeah, and I only hope for total peace and resolution, and these women being able to move forward in their lives and kind of put this behind them. And I hope they feel a sense of I just want them to have peace at the end of the day, and I hope they do. And I stand by them. Yeah,
I agree. Well, we were going to read some emails, but I say we just get into talking about Metallica. What do you say?
I think that's a good idea.
It's nice when you're the producer of your own show. We can just decide to do whatever we want, can't we?
Exactly. We can do that. You know what? Let's not talk about Metallica. That's the show, everybody.
Peace.
Adios.
We'll enjoy a snippet of some more Hulkster, and when we come back from the Hulkamaniac break, we'll dive into some 93, 94 Metallica.
Let's do it.
All right.
I saw it on TV. I guess I'll be one empty seat when I wrestle at Wembley. I used to tear my shirt, but now you tore my heart. I knew you were a Hulkamaniac right from the very start.
Right from the start,
you were my friend. I'll see you again. When the Hulkster comes to heaven,
heaven, heaven, heaven,
we'll tag up again,
again, again. The world just lost
another Hulkamaniac,
a friend to the end. I'll see you again.
I wish Hulk's love could bring you back again.
Hey, it's Clint from Metal Up Your Podcast, and we hope you're enjoying the Metal Tales from the Road series. If you've been keeping up with us, then you already know that we've covered every stop on the 2018-2019 North American Arena Tour, and we look forward to catching up with all of our European friends later this year on the Stadium Tour overseas. And there's more! After the Stadium Tour, we are continuing the Metal Tales series for any Metallica show in the past. Maybe you saw one of the Orion festivals. Maybe you were at the Channel in 1984 and Cliff Burton bought you a beer. Maybe you were at one of the 30th anniversary shows, or you just saw a regular-ass show in North Dakota somewhere. We want to hear from you. Since Ethan and I started Metal Up Your Podcast, we've wanted to find a way for listeners to call in and share their stories. Well, this is it. To make yourself eligible for a future or past Metal Tales episode, please consider joining us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you not only get to come on the show as a guest, you also get both of our Cover Our World Blackened EPs, monthly giveaways like deluxe box sets, rare vinyl, posters, and other goodies. You get early access to our YouTube videos, and we also let you ask our guests, like Ray Burton, Michael Wagner, Hailstorm, members of Slipknot, your very own questions. For what essentially amounts to 2 cups of coffee a month, you can ensure that Metal Up Your Podcast continues to grow in quality and content. For any of you on the ride with us, we love you, we thank you, peace and adios.
All right, so let's jump into the first of 2 years, 1993. Not a ton happened in Metallica world outside of touring. You know, of course, when we make these notes, we immediately go to Metallica.com and see what's going on the timeline. And right away, I was like, oh, 3 things, you know, and then 94, 2 things.
Right.
But there was a lot of touring happening, a lot of little random things happened. The first thing that was kind of notable to kind of kick off the Nowhere Left to Roam tour. They're in their 3rd year of touring the Black Album at this point. And at this point, they're probably exhausted. They've, done the Guns Metallica tour. They've extensively toured the Black Album already. That's
right.
2 years is already an average album cycle length,
right.
You know?
Well, so it's like October of 91 through, just for some quick context, October of 91 through July of 92 was the Wherever We May Roam tour. That was in North America. Then they did Europe from October 22nd to December 8th of 92. So that's a lot. And then in 92, from July to October. Wait, is this right? I'm on their Wikipedia. And because the Guns tour it's saying was July 17th through October 6th of 92. And that would have,
okay.
and that would have been, so and we already covered 1992, but basically from October 6th through this January 21st of them launching the Nowhere Else to Roam tour. I guess they had some time off or kicking around.
Yeah, I'm sure they're taking a much needed break after all that stuff, and just the, I can't imagine mentally just the overwhelming feeling of like, we just made the biggest record of our lives and it's sold millions and millions already in 2 years.
It's one of the things I'd be most curious to, I wish I could have asked them at the time too, but it's like when you guys were in the middle of the Black Album, like the cycle of it, not even the making of it. You've already made it. It's maybe, I'm kind of lost on my time. I don't know if they've already like won a Grammy or whatever for Enter Sandman, but I wonder what it felt like. Like, did you guys know? Is it something that was just almost too much to even contemplate? Like, we're the biggest band in the world right now. Like, it's like you want to ask U2 that too. Like U2 on the Joshua Tree tour or the Octoon Baby tour or the Stones during Some Girls or Exile. Like, are you aware that you're in the biggest band in the world, and what does that feel like?
I know, man. I mean, I'd imagine, after that Guns tour, it was kind of like their first good chunk, which is only about two and a half months.
Right.
But at that point, I know what it feels like, and you know what it feels like to play a sold out club, and it's like, it's euphoric. You're like on another planet. Now imagine, doing that and selling out stadiums and arenas and playing, the Monsters of Rock for 500,000 people and all this stuff.
Well, like when you have a certain record out or you're on a certain tour, you have a sense where there's maybe a conversation happening about a record you just made or a band that you're in that's touring. But for them or a band like Guns, it's like an international worldwide Metallica pun worldwide conversation where whether it's Brazil or North America or Europe or Asia, these cities are selling out huge venues. That's just got to be a mindfuck.
It has to be. Of course their career has been nothing but kind of this uphill steady climb, but when the Black Album hit, it was just like explosion. You can't, I'm sure there's not a country in the world that doesn't know who Metallica is at this point. It's just mind-blowing.
By the way, we've got some great feedback on our Moke episode with the Black Album.
It's Paul. Everyone loves Paul.
The people spoke, Now, speaking of them being on huge stages, so it's interesting that they sort of kicked off the Nowhere Else to Roam tour January 21st in a Sam Goody, which I remember Sam Goody's.
Yeah, in a Sam Goody. Yeah, they did this thing where they created a Metallistore for one day only in New York City, an old Sam Goody, and they released what was only just like a 4-song cassette, but this is the same track list on both sides. It was just 3. It was just Last Caress, Emma Evil, and Battery. The live versions from that Monsters of Rock thing at the Tushino Airfield in Moscow. So that was kind of their way of like kicking off this tour. And it's a funny little note that was in the cassette. I'm guessing Lars wrote this. It's pretty funny. It says, "The fuckers up at Electric suggested we come to Manhattan on January 21st. And on this record store's last day, like, they're going out of business, turned into our fucking Metallica store. So we fucking did. And we thought it would be cool to give you guys something to remember that day by. So here's 3 tracks from our fucking gig in Moscow 1.5 years ago. End of story. P.S. Don't pay money for this."
Just basing on how they spell certain things, like here's with a Z, I'm guessing
It could
it's
be
James.
Yeah, you're right.
He he even spelled his name with like Jaymze,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, it was cool. They gave these 3 live songs to like all the fans that showed up for free. Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
I kind of hate to burst the bubble on this, but like I think a lot of fans know. Maybe we didn't when we were reading this in the 90s, but they were like partnering with like everyone had a meeting where they thought this was a good idea, but kind of the charm and the brand was like our fucking record label. I guess all the fucking suits up there want us to do whatever. It might have even been Lars's idea.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, I mean, it might have been just part of their kind of attitude back then. It's just like, and I kind of don't blame them.
It's the magic trick.
It's the magic trick, but at the same time, I mean, Metallica's always done a really good job of like as big as they've gotten, still being like the people's band. Right. Like we still want that guy that loves Kill 'Em All to know that we're still down to earth. We still care about these fans.
Did you see that stuff that came out this week about the Doyle guy from the Misfits? Did you see that shit he was saying?
I didn't.
I guess he was on some podcast, and it sucks because I don't really disagree with what he's saying, but he kind of said it in a real vulgar way, and that's kind of getting more of the press. But he basically was like, people are stealing music, artists can't make money anymore. That's why I have to do these $50 meet and greets with people that I don't want to talk to.
Oh, I did see that. Yes, totally.
And he's getting kind of slammed for it, but I'm like, he's got a point. Like, artists didn't used to have to do that. Now, if they did, it was nice. Like Metallica, when they didn't have to, would do these kind of cool little grassroots seeming things, like go do an in-store at Sam Goody. They've always kind of been the band of the people, and that's cool. But I also don't begrudge bands that never did that. Like, you think Roger Waters was doing meet and greets on the fucking Dark Side of the Moon tour?
Probably not.
And that's kind of what we like about like the mystique of the rock star. And I kind of like how Doyle's like, now this is what I have to do to make sense. And he sounds like a butthole, and maybe he is, but it's his prerogative if he wants to meet fans or not.
It totally is. Well, and you got to understand something too with him. I mean, like the Misfits, like they're known as kind of this legendary like horror punk band now. But I mean, we don't know the logistics of like what he made in royalties, or if Glenn Danzig made them all. I mean, he's been touring as his own thing for a long time, and he just plays little tiny clubs.
I mean, I don't know a lot about that, but I can glean, with my experience. That dude's not making a ton of money.
Exactly.
He's just not. It's a fact,
Right. And so for him to like, obviously these Misfits reunion shows have been huge, and they've only done a couple in arenas, but I mean, he's probably looking at like, look, I'm in my 50s. I got to make money where I can.
Well, he said
you're not going to buy my records.
Well, he said, you know what? Like, I already played the show. Like, I just got done working. And for me, he's like, what I want to do after a show is go take a shower and go to bed, which I think is pretty reasonable.
It's very reasonable.
Now, I grew up, as you did, I kind of grew up watching Jason Newsted. So it's just in the fabric of me that I want to go meet, especially kids. Like, I want to go meet fans, meet kids, give them a pick, make a moment for them. Kind of like what Lizzie was talking about with Dio, even though obviously I'm not Dio. But I like to take the time because I always think about myself looking at a band I loved. And, you and I are in these positions sometimes where we're in a band that people love a lot. So
yeah,
I have that in me, but I just also, the grumpy side of me sees someone like Doyle say that and be like, I get it, dude. I totally get it.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's tough for a guy like that, like being this bit of an icon from, like I said, a legendary punk band. But like the financial numbers don't add up. Like everyone knows who you are. You also wear face paint 24/7, but everyone knows who you are. But it's not like you're living this comfortable life where you can, just avoid that stuff.
Well, they recognize
you have to go work.
They recognize him by his tight pectoral muscles and his protuberant nipples.
They are protuberant.
Does he ever wear a shirt? I mean, he's 24/7 shirtless.
I think he's shirtless all the time.
Now, how about the added irony of them writing, P.S. don't pay for this, and yet they're doing a promotional gig in a record store?
Yeah.
So it's like, there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek with like playing ball with the man over here.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, regardless of like who set it up or whether it was Lars or it was a label kind of forcing them to in a way, it's cool that they, kind of came back down to planet Earth and did this little thing in a small record store in New York.
I agree.
I think it's cool.
And we're going to play a clip of the battery from this cassette too.
Yeah, check this out.
All right.
All right, so, jump right into the very next day, January 22nd, the No Rest to Roam tour officially starts in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The tour goes till March 13th. Couple facts about the tour before we jump into a couple things here. The support acts were Caius, Suicidal Tendencies, and The Cult on different legs. Caius did Asia, South America, Australia, New Zealand. Suicidal Tendencies and The Cult did Europe and the Middle East.
That's a cool bill. That'd be a cool bill, The Cult and Suicidal Tendencies.
I would love to see The Cult open for Metallica.
Wow.
I'm sure that was a great show.
Yeah.
And one little fun fact, too, if you listeners don't know, is that Caius was Josh Homme, or Home, however you say his last name, from Queens of the Stone Age. That was his first band.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he's been around that long.
Yeah, they started in like 92, and he was in the band the whole time till like, I want to say like 97, 98.
Wow.
So Josh Homme was on tour with Metallica. In
Josh
Asia, South
Homme.
America. What a homie.
He's my homie.
He is my homie. And since Suicidal Tendencies was on the tour, this officially marks the first time they met Rob Trujillo.
Wow.
That's got to be cool. And it also makes me laugh when you watch Some Kind of Monster and Lars refers to him as that guy. He's like,
guy.
I mean, that guy, like, these are like picks for hands or whatever he says. Like,
oh, yeah. He doesn't need a pick because all of his fingers are picks. He's got 5 picks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny.
There's some interesting stuff going on there, too, because as we later learned, the night before that, Rob stayed up all night drinking with Lars.
Right.
And like the T-shirt he's wearing is like one of Lars's big ass oversized blue shirts.
Yeah, I mean they're old homies.
They're
for
homies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly, like maybe because the camera crew is around, he's probably trying to like just play it safe. And I mean, he doesn't want to be disrespectful to the other guys that tried out.
Here's
stuff like that,
here's what I can tell. Here's what I can tell you guys about who was going to replace Jason. It was always going to be a homie.
Yes.
That's why they wanted Pepper Keenan in there. I mean, they wanted a homie. And I get it.
Yep.
You want some. They didn't want to do the Jason thing again, where it's just some kid, some fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you had more facts. So 77 shows was the show count.
Yeah, so technically it should have been 78. That one canceled show in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Do we know why it was canceled?
Don't know why it was canceled. I was trying to look that up. Could not find that, unfortunately.
You ever been to San Juan? You ever been to Puerto Rico?
I have been to Puerto Rico. Yes, I spent a Christmas in Vieques.
Yeah, we've been to Vieques too.
Dude, love it.
We loved it. My wife still has family in Puerto Rico. They're Puerto Rican, and so we got to visit her grandfather when he was still alive. And we took a tiny little plane over to Vieques, and in Vieques they literally have like wild horses running around.
Yep. Oh yeah. They were running by our. We stayed in a little apartment like 2 blocks from the beach, and we'd wake up and walk down to the beach to go get some coffee.
Did you take a little plane from San Juan over there?
Yes, it was
like
terrifying.
a little prop plane. So scary.
I hate it, but the big difference, you pay like $100 per seat basically, and it's like 20 minutes in the air. It's nothing. But the ferries we looked into, and it was like it was going to take like a few hours to get over there. And it was just like, let's just get there.
I wonder if Kirk was disappointed because as we learned from the Some Kind of Monster doc, he enjoys a nice horseback riding.
He does. He really does. And there's plenty of them there. There's tons of wild horses.
He's a man of the woods. He is a man of nature.
Absolutely.
He's a child of nature.
What can he say? He's a child of Mother Nature. Another cool fact about this is, and sometimes you forget at the Black Album, they're so huge, you think they've already been everywhere. But this tour was the first time the Metallica did shows in Thailand, the Philippines, Singapore, and Indonesia. Which is you would think at this point they'd been there, even on the Justice tour.
No,
but
that's a good point. I mean, if there was anywhere they didn't go, the Black Album's what would take them there. And, and hence the name of the tour, the Nowhere Else to Roam tour. It's like, you know, they felt like they'd been everywhere. It's like, well, what insane markets can we go to?
Totally. And then this was also the tour where the 5 nights in Mexico City, which is what was later released on Live Shit, Binge and Purge.
They seem to have a pretty good relationship with Mexico City.
Yeah, I mean, if you know, have you ever played Mexico City?
I have not,
dude. It's like Mexico City and South America, dude. Those fans are insane, man. I got to play Mexico City a couple times. Once with Kings. It was this festival. It was called like the Corona Rock Festival or something, and it was like
how very Mexican sounding.
Yeah. Exactly. It was a blast of a festival. Great food. It was well put together. It was awesome. But dude, I remember I got to play on stage literally in front of 80,000+ people. It was insane.
Wow.
You literally can't see the end of the people, but you can see the entire crowd moving. It looks like you're watching like the ocean, like swells coming in. It's like everyone's moving and having the time of their life, singing every single word of every song. It's crazy.
That's actually kind of terrifying.
It is terrifying. Like I remember being up on stage thinking like, if all these people at one point, you know, like when you're watching a flock of birds in the sky and immediately they all decided to change directions.
Yeah, like if they all went mad.
Yeah, if they all went mad at the same time and they're like, let's just rush the stage. I mean, I'd be dead.
What's that famous? There's a famous book, like I think from the 1800s called Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. And it's about like the witch hunts, and it's just about how like sort of people in big groups can go crazy. Even like sane individuals, but once they're in this group and hive mind, they can kind of go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely thought about that, like playing big festivals around the world. Like you just look at the amount of people that are there, this big massive people, and you're like, God, it's insane. Or you know, when we've watched footage of them at Monsters of Rock,
right? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you think all those dudes, all those soldiers that were like there for security could stop that many people if they decided to be like, fuck it, we're charging.
It's like a total facade. It's a total bluff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
You know?
So yeah, like those are kind of some just, basic facts about kind of what the tour is about.
So here's go ahead.
I was going to say, I kind of typed out for us to kind of read off like a typical U.S. set list. They had 3 different set lists, and a lot of stuff was similar with, obviously still promoting the Black Album. But I figure we can kind of run through like one of their average set lists for this tour.
Yeah, sure.
I'll just spout them off, and we can talk about a few songs maybe. Enter Sandman, Creeping Death, Harvester of Sorrow.
I like your typo here. You wrote
Harvester of Sorry.
Harvester of Sorry. Thank you.
I love when there's a random typo by you or I or like someone who emails in and you just gloss over it.
Harvester of Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. This is cool though to see Enter Sandman first, still after 2 years. At this point, their song is huge.
It's a great opener.
Great opener.
I think, we talked about they're never going to not play it. I think so, and I accept that. It's going to be in every Metallica show. Here's a good way to mix that up. Either make it the last song in the main set before the 2 or 3 encores, or let's just fucking crack it open at the top again.
Let's crack it open. Let's get all the fans that are here for that one song just to take off.
But the thing is, you think if someone really, they're there to see Enter Sandman, maybe that's the one song they know. They're not leaving after that song.
No, they're not going to leave. They might leave it like before the encore or something, but they're going to stay.
Yeah.
But I mean, this set list is just stacked with so much good stuff. So Sandman, Creeping Death, Harvester of Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
Sanitarium, Sabbath True, of Wolf and Man, The Unforgiven, and a Justice medley, which we've seen videos of.
I love that Justice medley.
It's great, and I love that they do Blackened twice. Like they because I remember watching, they go into like an early part of it, then go into the ending part of it. It's awesome. So Eye of the Beholder, Blackened, Frayed into Sanity, Justice for All, and then back into Blackened.
And those are really some of the only times you're going to see Eye of the Beholder and Frayed In. So those just aren't songs that they ever play. So it's cool to see them featured in a reoccurring Justice medley. I'd be a fan of them bringing some of those, like the Kill Ride medley, the Justice medley. The only medley I really didn't like, and it's the one my first time I saw them, was they were doing this thing called Mastertarium.
Yeah.
On the Summer Sanitarium tours, where they were kind of mixing up puppets and Sanitarium. Not
Yeah,
as exciting.
Was that when they weren't doing like the ballad bridge of puppets?
They were
they
always
still doing that?
that was in the that was in the 90s. That wasn't
Or was
2000.
that was just like a Master of Puppets medley
It was master.
or something?
I think they were just taking out the third verse or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Someone's gonna fucking flame us for that. I don't know, dude. It's late. It's been a long week.
It's been a long week.
I think that I think some of the setlist problems that could be solved now is like a load reload medley or a death magnetic medley.
Love it.
Wouldn't that be killer? Like
That would be so rad.
Imagine a death magnetic medley because there's already a reload slot. I get it. They're going to play fuel or memory, but imagine a death magnetic medley. What would they even call that? Like a magnetic medley?
Death mag medley.
Imagine like into the line into that was just your life into my apocalypse into cyanide.
Maybe
Yeah,
totally.
it could be so fun to think about what that might be.
It could be really cool. I would love that. I think that's a fantastic idea. One of your best.
Well, I give myself credit. I give myself 100% of the credit for it.
I give credit where credit is due, and it's right to me.
So then the bass solo, guitar solo,
Yeah.
through the never bells, fade. They like to keep lightning songs together sometimes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they definitely do. Which is I'm fine with. And sometimes on the Worldwide tour, 3 in a row.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like creep, fade, and bells.
Yeah, totally. It's happened a few times. And then going into, and this is still weird too to see Puppets. It's still kind of in the middle of the set, but Puppets, Seek and Destroy, Whiplash. I mean, I'm sorry, it's in the middle in the grand scheme of things. It's closer to the end, but it's not like what they've been doing for a long time. It's
right.
So interesting to see this. Then the encore, Nothing Else Matters, Wherever I May Roam, and My Evil Last Caress. That's a stacked encore.
Wow.
And then they come back out for encore 2, which is Battery. I mean, so much cool. I would have loved to seen this tour. I wish I was a little older and my parents weren't fearful of heavy metal back then.
I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
Gosh, seriously.
I wish I had a girl look good. I'd call him.
Call him.
Because he's in the hospital because he's transitioning.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just fun to see them when, and obviously it's fun to see bands when they just don't have so much material to choose from. You're sort of, they were just sort of locked into these 5 records. Mm-hmm. And just pulling the best from these 5, plus throw in some of those, throw a Diamond Head cover and a Danzig cover, and it's like, wow,
I know, it's so cool. I mean, even just to see that many Black Album songs, and which I mean we are seeing some pretty Black Album heavy set lists in recent months, but I mean, of Wolf and Man would be amazing to see. They've been doing Through the Never.
But Wolf and Man definitely is kind of an outlier there, and even Rome kind of became a rarity on the North American Arena tour. We saw it in the stadiums every show, but how about Rome being in the encore? I think Rome's a good encore song.
It is really good. Yeah, I almost think that would be a good first encore song.
Yeah, totally. Like they go away, the lights come down, and then you hear that sitar at the top.
Yeah, I'm in.
I wonder, it'd be interesting to tell them too, like, because they had a sense of how big the Black Album was, obviously, but to be like, dudes, you guys are going to play these like 4 or 5 songs literally for the rest of your careers.
Yes. I mean, basically the first, with the exception of Rome here and there, the first 5 tracks off of the Black Album.
Well, except for Holier.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But that was in a rotating slot too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Through the Never of Wolf and Man and Holier all made it into rotating slots.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And then when you combine that with Sandman, Sabbath True, Rome, Unforgiven, Nothing Else Matters. I mean, goddamn, just play the Black Album. What's a bummer about that? And I know we're kind of like meditating on the Black Album, but hey, we're talking about 1993 here. It's just songs like God That Failed and My Friend in Misery just get totally buried.
They do, yeah. I mean, I was on their site today, like looking up every song on the Black Album, see how many times they played it, when the last time was, all that stuff. And they've played every song off the record, many times, but those are the ones that are the least. I think it's in my notes for the next year, but I think My Friend in Misery is like 88 times, or maybe it's The God That Failed.
Wow, 88?
I think it was that.
That surprises me. That seemed, I would have guessed lower.
We'll get to it, because I did make a note of it. It might have been, I can't remember. We'll get to it. I know it's in the notes on the next page. We want to get too ahead of ourselves.
All right, January 25th, they win the American Music Award for Favorite Heavy Metal / Hard Rock Artist. performing Wherever I May Roam. We got a clip of that we'll play for you right here.
Their current album has been on the charts for 75 weeks. It has sold 6.5 million copies. A winner tonight. Please welcome James, Lars, Kirk, and Jason, Metallica.
I'm trying to look up who they were up against. Metallica, 1993, AMA. It's the American Music Award, right? That's what we literally just said, right?
Well, it's
dude,
the Ask Me Anything Awards.
Once you get into the country world, there's just so like CMAs, the AMCs.
Oh my God, there's so many in the country world.
They were up. Wait, let me see. American Music Award for Favorite Heavy Metal Hard Rock. This is 97. Why 97? Oh, they were up against Stone Temple Pilots and Smashing Pumpkins.
Interesting.
Def Leppard, Chili Peppers.
Really? Chili Peppers are in that category? Yeah, I guess hard rock. They could be in that category sometimes. I mean, I guess at this point, I mean, after the Black Album, it was probably like a no question, like, yeah, Metallica's going to win this.
Right. Yeah.
But cool that they played Rome on the award show. I think it's awesome.
It's cool that they just have so many songs that are commercially viable. Like, it's not like they only had Enter Sandman to play on those kinds of stages. It was like, well, we want to do Rome or Sabbath True or Unforgiven or Nothing Else Matters. We literally have hits pouring out of our buttholes. I
wonder if in that situation they were given the choice. And you know, sometimes you've done TV or radio stuff where they're like, hey, you got to play this song, you know, because that's what we're pushing right now.
Right.
But I mean, Rome has already been a single, so I wonder if they decided like, well, we got, other than Enter Sandman, we got some other heavy hitters to choose from, so let's just do Rome.
I would love to ask the boys.
Oh, I think Laz would be honest with us and just tell us how it was.
Honey, I've waited my whole life to talk to you, and Lucius as well. He loves your music too. And out of all the questions, all the many years I spent in my bedroom thinking about what I would ask James, I finally decided on the one question: why'd you play Rome at the American Music Awards in 1993?
We've been, both of us, the Joyces are dying to know.
We've agreed it's the most important question.
Exactly. So what is it, James?
Oh God, the Joyces, man, they got to make their appearance sometime.
They love it. You know, it's okay. They're welcome here anytime. So yeah, moving on. February 8th, they released Sabbath True single.
Okay.
Which the video was just the
tour montage,
culmination of live. Yeah, exactly. It was similar to Rome. they did that on 3. Well, the Nothing Else Matters is all studio footage, but
Rome, yeah.
It's crazy that three of the big hits on that record were all footage that was already filmed and you know, like for tours and studio stuff. So they just like, let's just throw that together and put Sabbath True over it.
Well, just an easy, probably low overhead way to promote a single, get something on MTV. At that point, they're like, fuck it, dude. You guys are just being eaten alive on MTV. So let's just put something cheap together of you guys on the road. They probably had Wayne Isham came out that day or for one day and just had maybe a small crew. We've done 3 or 4 episodes on all the music videos, at least up through some Saint Anger videos. So I guess we'll refer you to that for a lot of those details.
Well, with the Sabbath True video, I mean, guess who was a freshman in high school and fully on board with that video? I was. I didn't care what the video was.
I'm really disappointed you didn't let me guess. I really thought you were going to let me guess, and I was going to tee up some comedy.
Oh, no, man. I just figured you knew.
The fucking comedy engines were just revved up.
They were revved up, ready to go.
Revved up for comedy.
Should we start that over then? Okay, here we go.
Well, now I've turned this into this is the comedy now. It's me talking about comedy. It wouldn't have been very funny anyway.
That's true.
So you were a freshman in high school?
Yeah, I was a freshman in high school. I had already had the Black Album on cassette, and I wore that tape out like crazy. And I already knew the whole record front to back. I was learning those songs on guitar back then. I got the tab book at the local music store. But, you know, MTV was still this big ordeal. This is still pre-internet for, you know, most people in the world. Mm-hmm. And to see this stuff on MTV and on Headbangers Ball and all that stuff was like, oh, my God. Like, and that was one of my first glimpses, that and the Rome video of, like, what they looked like touring and, like, their live setup and stuff. It was, like, mind-blowing to me to watch these guys look like gods on stage. Well,
and it was, I mean, we're so used to it now because of Binge and Purge, but that was a really unique stage setup for the time.
Absolutely.
People weren't, it wasn't quite in the round vibe, but it was a precursor to that. And they had all the risers going up and the 2 drum kits and they're running around. It wasn't like Bon Jovi or Motley Crue, like on a big sound stage. Mm-hmm. It seemed sort of cavernous, and they had a snake pit, and it was dark and creepy, and I remember just feeling like, I don't know, like I was as interested in that as I was the dudes.
Totally. And I mean, the Black Album tours where the Snake Pit started.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's so cool. I mean, that's just another little glimpse of like them wanting to connect with a certain amount of fans. Like, it's like, we're going to put all these fans in the middle of the stage. Like,
right.
I didn't know anybody, other bands that were doing that at the time. Maybe there was, but I don't know.
Maybe Yanni.
Yeah, you know, Yanni probably did. He got down there with, you know, whatever instrument he plays.
I think he plays a piccolo flute.
I think he plays a recorder, I think.
Well, he likes to get in there and get sweaty with the fans, man. Which, by the way, all hot chicks. When you go to a Yanni show, 100% hot chicks.
100%. It's the mustache, man.
Not a single dude.
He has that manly mustache. Oh.
Whereas if you go to a Rush concert, a hot chick dudes is like the mythical fucking dragon, like Bigfoot.
If there's a good-looking girl at, let's just say this, if there's a female at a Rush show, she got drugged there by her boyfriend.
You got me a gun rack, Stacy. I don't even own a gun, let alone miniguns that would necessitate a rack. So you're saying you don't like it? Stacy, she's like, you're not careful, Wayne. You're going to lose me.
Uh-oh. Don't look. Stacy.
Where? Oh, God, I made eye contact.
Psycho hose beast.
Happy anniversary, Wayne.
Stacy, we broke up 2 months ago.
Well, that doesn't mean we can't still go out.
Well, it does, actually. That's what breaking up is.
Will, are you going to go to the gasworks tonight?
No. No!
Don't you want to open your present?
If it's a severed head, I'm going to be very upset.
Open it.
Okay. What is it?
It's a gun rack.
A gun rack? A gun rack. Yeah, right. I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. What am I gonna do with a gun rack?
You don't like it? Fine. You know, Wayne, if you're not careful, you're gonna lose me.
I lost you 2 months ago. Are you mental? We broke up. Get the net.
I was gonna say, do you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast at all?
Not every episode, but I'll go through it and find people I really like and listen to those
Travis
episodes.
Barker's episode last week is amazing.
I haven't heard it yet. I'm very interested though.
I'm not a huge Blink fan, but obviously he's one of the he's a world-renowned drummer.
Oh yeah.
And dude, I did not know that the main guy of Blink-182 is such a far-out cat.
Aliens.
Yeah, he's into aliens and Bigfoot, and he says that and it's not like he became insane. He said in their heyday, take your pants off and jacket or whatever that big damn it growing up song, whatever the fuck. I never was a big fan of them, but he said that when they would play a city, he would assemble a group of people, meaning maybe his own crew, maybe some local crew at the venue, and they would literally go look for Bigfoot on tour.
I love it. I think it's awesome.
It is kind of awesome.
I would go with them.
You would go on one of those expeditions. Would you go?
I'd go with them.
Would you go because you really are on maybe sort of a serious spiritual quest to find Bigfoot, or would you go because it's an interesting way to bond with somebody, and it's what else are you going to do out there?
I think a little of both. I think that, and also it'd be very entertaining. And I'm just kind of curious, to the severity of his quest. And
well, he quit the band to pursue this passion. He literally so Blink-182 got back together. With to no small acclaim, by the way. People are real excited they're back together. I believe they're doing arenas and they're headlining festivals.
Yeah, they got Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio to replace him.
And that guy walked away from it because he wants to go to the White House and talk to the president about aliens.
You know what's crazy is he still is owner of one of the owners of Blink-182.
Well, see, that's smart. So he's still just making the money.
Oh, he's still raking in a ton of money. He still, I'm sure, gets tour money and royalties, all this stuff. He didn't technically quit. He just didn't want to do the reunion, and didn't. And a lot of times when an artist of that size, even down to a mid-level band, when everyone's signed onto a contract, if someone quits, a lot of times you buy them out of the contract. And he didn't want that, and he still makes money on Blink.
Well, I'd like to thank all of our listeners for joining our new Bigfoot / Blink-182 crossover podcast.
It's called Bigfoot 182. What an awesome podcast that would be.
Oh, Blink Area 51. We could call it that too.
That'd be good.
That wasn't as funny, was it? Dang.
Nah, I thought that was good. That was a good one.
Thanks, dude.
We'll insert a laugh track right here.
Oh, boy. All right, where are we at on this timeline?
Well, before we get back to the timeline, I want to go on a not a crazy tangent, but it has to do with Tom DeLonge from Blink-182.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's keep this fucking Blink-182 train rolling, dude. I'm serious. I'm in. I'm having my second beer. I'm in.
Okay. My first Warped Tour was in 2008, and after Blink-182 kind of disbanded, he had a new band called Angels and Airwaves.
I remember that.
Yeah, the first record was actually kind of cool. There's some cool stuff on there. One of my favorite drummers, Adam Willard from the Span Rocket from the Crypt, was the drummer. So they're on Warped Tour too. They're on the same stage as I was with when I was with Reliant K. And so I would go over there and watch him, mostly just to watch Adam play drums because he's a monster. He plays with Against Me now. He played for Social Distortion for a while, played for The Offspring, a bunch of people. But at one point, our buses were parked next to each other, and Tom's outside, and I'm just outside sitting in a chair just chilling out after our set. And he comes over, and he's like, "Hey, man." I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "You with Reliant K?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, dude, I watch you guys. You guys are awesome." I'm like, "Thanks." And at the time, he was – and this is where I think he's kind of a smart dude. This is still it's obviously in the download era where people are stealing music. Mm-hmm. But he was, I think, had a really good idea, and everyone thought he was just kind of nuts for it because he was already kind of nuts.
He's like, "Look, you're not buying my music anymore. I'm selling tickets to my expedition to find Bigfoot.
And we're going to play music in outer space." No, but he came up to me and he had this thing. I don't even know if it still exists. I have to look it up. It was called Mod Life. And basically what it was bands taking control of their own music, selling it directly to fans. He took things that now exist that weren't there back then. And the whole Patreon thing, for instance, mm-hmm. he basically had that idea. That was part of what Mod Life was you could be a fan of this band, pay a monthly thing to be a member of Mod Life for this band you love.
Why is it called Mod Life?
I have no idea.
What a strange title.
Totally.
Why not call it Fanatic or
exactly? I don't know. Who knows?
Or hardcore fan or.
I wish he gave me a full on notebook about it. I wish I still had it. I don't know what happened to it.
Show me on the Alf doll where he touched you, please.
Okay.
Show me on the Yeti. Show me on the miniature Yeti.
It was only in my armpit. It wasn't that invasive. But I didn't wear deodorant.
It was a tickle fight. Okay, I admit it was a tickle fight. Yeah.
But I was sitting there like listening to him. I was just like, this seems like a really good idea, but like, what band's going to do this? This is like crazy, you know? But it was all those, like, you know, it's like you could pay this monthly fee and like get all these little incentives, backstage videos, in the studio videos that no one else is going to see. It was like this pretty genius idea, and it never took off because that's where the market wasn't at.
You know who else? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, fast forward 5 to 10 years, and here we are, and that's what a lot of bands are doing and going independent and stuff. That was his big thing, was like, you can be an independent band and make more money by doing this.
Yeah, it's fascinating that he was smart enough to sort of have the foresight for that, because that's definitely sort of a model we're in now. I have a lot of qualms with the model we're in now. I think it sucks, actually, but it is working. It is getting things funded. I mean, it got your record funded, and as far as I'm concerned, your record is an invaluable piece of art. So I was going to say, you know who else takes credit around the same time for coming up with the model for what would become like Pledge or Kickstarter is Josh Freese.
Oh,
for those of you who don't know, Josh Freese is one of my favorite drummers. He's actually probably my favorite working drummer. He's a badass. He did Nine Inch Nails, Perfect Circle. He's been in the Vandals his whole career. Weezer, Devo, Replacements.
He plays with Sting right now.
He's currently Sting's drummer. He's a total like Orange County punk rock kid who's just a badass drummer. And then on top of that, plays on every record you've probably ever heard, from Miley Cyrus to fucking Evanescence and Paramore. Yep. So, but he talks about how, and he's I would encourage you all, please go follow Josh Freese on Instagram. It's so
it's
funny.
Incredible.
It's just so incredible because he still tours a lot, and he's just such an insane dude. Family man, he's got 4 kids, all that stuff. But he talks about he started this thing as a joke where you could eat at P.F. Chang's with him.
Yeah,
and he's like, people really were doing it, and then he
was it on Kickstarter when it first started?
It was like one of the first Kickstarters, and one of them was an insane amount, and I think it was like, if you pay like $50,000, you can come hang out with me and Danny Carey, the drummer from Tool, and we'll all take acid and drive around Los Angeles.
Yeah, and he was going to like give you like a star tour of Los Angeles, and at the end of it, he was going to give you his car.
He was going to give you the car.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever read, dude. You guys have to look it up for real. There was so many, and if you follow him on Instagram and see some of his videos he posts, I mean, he's comically insane. Well, he's one of the funniest dudes.
Here's the last tangent, okay? Which, by the way, maybe it's not our last tangent, Ethan. Maybe I'm having a good time hanging out with you on the airwaves.
I'm having a great time.
He tells a story on the Jordy White, the bass player for Marilyn Manson, Twiggy Ramirez, you might all know him, has a podcast called The Hour of Goon. And he had Josh on. It's this really funny, weird episode, but they're talking about when they were touring in Nine Inch Nails together. They're just sort of sharing tour stories, which is such a treat to hear. And he talks about, he's like, man, remember that Nine Inch Nails tour where after every show, we were taking the board tape from the show we just played, blasting it on the bus, and they had taken some fog machines from production, and we're just filling the bus up with fog. He said the bus was so filled with fog, you literally couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And they were listening to the board tape of the Nine Inch Nails show they just played.
And for sure, that was 100% his idea.
He said they did it like every night. And he said that they would leave this Van Halen DVD on loop in the front lounge, but not like the full DVD, just the menu loop.
Which are only like 30 seconds long.
He said they would just go to bed leaving it at full volume so the bus driver would have to pull over to turn it off.
That's so good.
He was like, dude, we watched that menu of Van Halen, like the making of the Panama video, for like 6 months. Right. For 6 months.
That's amazing.
All right. Because that's just a picture of how insane you get out there.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Josh Freese, last little thing before we get back into this, maybe not.
Yeah.
There's another podcast he's on. It's like a drummer podcast called I'd Hit That.
Heard it, love it,
dude. There's a 3-hour episode with Josh Freese, and it is thoroughly entertaining.
He talks all about, he was in Guns N' Roses, the Chinese Democracy era. He was in Guns N' Roses for like 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He has stories about Buckethead and stuff. It's amazing.
He says Buckethead is obsessed with Disneyland. And Josh's dad grew up playing in the Disneyland like house band.
Yeah, he was like a drummer.
And he said that,
whatever.
Well, he said that Buckethead is so obsessed with Disneyland. that all the big rides, like the theme park rides, he re-recorded his own guitar versions of the music for the rides, and that he puts his headphones on when he gets on the rides and listens to his own recordings of the music while he rides.
I mean, does Buckethead go to Disneyland in full gear?
Probably not.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's photos online of him without his KFC helmet on and stuff. But
they've kept his identity pretty private. For a long time, people thought it was Paul Gilbert of Racer X.
Oh, well, he's a badass and a very funny dude.
Oh, I love Paul Gilbert so much. What an amazing player and what a sweetheart of a dude.
He totally seems like a very, very kind dude.
Talk about a dude who will just tell you every secret he knows. Like, he does things with a guitar that really kind of seem otherworldly, and he'll just tell you exactly how he does them. He just wants everyone to have access to the knowledge.
Which is awesome, which is so cool. I mean, I'm by no means am not and will never be a caliber player like he.
Don't you dare say that.
Okay, I'll practice. Sorry, Dad. I'll go back to my room and practice. But like, if I mean, there's been people who've come up to me like in my bands, like, how do you do this in this song? I'm like, I'll just show them. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you figure it out, kid. Like, you know, as a musician, you want to share your wealth of knowledge you've learned with like a younger generation, because they're going to be the next ones that are going to be making the music.
Yeah, totally.
So, remember Metallica?
I'm sincerely asking because the answer may be no. Do you want to get back to Metallica? We don't have to.
I do. Okay. Let's go back to Metallica. We still got some stuff to cover.
We're on this March 16th.
Well, right before that, we got just one last little tidbit left on the Sabbath True single. So the US B-side was So What. The international single B-side was Nothing Else Matters, the elevator version where Michael Kamen's score was more prominent in the mix. And I thought it'd be great to listen to a clip here and see if maybe everyone can tell the difference.
All right, let's dip in.
Trust I seek and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view. And nothing else matters. Never care for what they do. Never care for what they know. But
I know we have a very fastidious listener named Kent who is on the forums a lot, who collects. He's got a crazy collection of a lot of rare shit like this. I'm sure he's hip to that. I wasn't really hip to this elevator version of Nothing Else Matters. Were you?
I was not. No, I wasn't either until I saw it today, and I was like, oh, interesting. I mean, I think it's cool that, like, because there's some really beautiful stuff that Michael Kamen did in there. I think it's cool that.
Did you stroke your chin and you're like, did you stroke your chin and talk in a sort of maybe an Egyptian traveling accent, maybe a British, like,
I was like,
interesting.
I was like, this is striking. I think that, like, I can hear the violins, violas just coming out a little more prominently.
The violas and the cellos.
I think it's bloody good.
Right, I hear a timpani in the distance like the pounding of a native drum, beckoning me towards the orchestra.
I'm not quite sure, but I feel like I can hear hurdy-gurdy in there.
Oh, right, I identify hurdy-gurdy immediately from miles and miles away. I'm like Legolas in Lord of the Rings, except with me ears.
I love that you're going into a Beatles accent.
Sorry, I'm a Liverpudlian. Well, if you don't want me to play, I'll play, Paul. If you want me to go home, I'll go home. Dude, so have you seen this, this movie called Yesterday, the trailer for it?
I just saw the trailer the other day, and I'll tell you what, it's from the people who did Love Actually, so guess what? I'm in.
Who did Love Actually? Who were the people who did Love Actually?
I don't know. It just said like from the creators of Love Actually, and I was like, whatever. I love that movie. You can make fun of me all day long. I don't care.
It's from the group of 38 people who brought you Love Actually.
Hugh Grant, I'm in. Are
you a rom-com kind of guy?
I love a good rom-com. I don't like all of them. I like a well-done rom-com. I think Love Actually is great. Like I said, anything if Hugh Grant's in it, it's gonna be great. Have you seen About a Boy?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Nick Hornby, who wrote the book. I've read all his shit. I liked About a Boy.
Great soundtrack. The Badly Drawn Boy, that guy did the soundtrack.
Yeah, so Nick Hornby's a huge music lover. Like he wrote High Fidelity. You know the movie High Fidelity, which is of course a top 10 movie for music lovers. And he's got a really great book of music essays called Songbook.
Oh, cool.
So all of his movies and stories have a lot of great music. He's very, he's like us. He loves tunes. He loves tunes, bro.
He just loves, man, I'll bet he bought Freedom Rock when it came out, man.
Dude, he loves tunes. He loves freedom. He loves rock. He probably would have bought the Mod Squad app or whatever that thing was called.
Mod Life.
Mod Life, bro. Just living that mod life.
Mod Life. But yeah, to answer your question, I saw that trailer, and I think the idea of this movie is so good. It's
so weird.
It's so weird. In a split second, all the power around the entire planet goes out for like a second or two. At the same time, he gets hit by a car and hits his head on the ground. He comes to, and all of a sudden, he's the only person in the world that knows who the Beatles are
and remembers their music.
Mm-hmm. And he's a musician and like plays these crappy shows and stuff. And
so it's almost like being given ultimate power.
Exactly.
You can claim that you wrote the greatest songs ever.
Yeah, and that's what it seems like in the trailer that he kind of does. He starts playing them for his friends and stuff. Then he goes to like record them, and then all of a sudden people are like think he's like this, prolific songwriter that dishes. Like there's like a clip on the trailer of him on a talk show. I think it's James Corden or something, and he's like, "Can you write a song for us right now?" And he goes into what is it? Not Michelle. Something in the way, whatever song he does, some other Beatles song, and it's
something in the way she moves.
I think it was, yeah, but it's great, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" But there's I've only seen the trailer. I literally watched the trailer like 5 times, and the scene where he's in front of his friends at that table playing the song Yesterday, and they're like, his girlfriend's like, "When did you write that?" He goes, "I didn't write that. It's Paul McCartney." She's like, "Who?" "From the Beatles." They're like, "Nope, never heard of them." And they're like, the greatest band of all time. And then one girl goes, "Well, I mean, they're no Coldplay. It's not Fix You."
Oh, I love that song.
Oh, Fix You's great.
Let me tell you guys something. Go look up Coldplay doing Fix You live. It's some big, huge show like Glastonbury. Just look for the one where the crowd's like massive, like Moscow. And when he gets to that bridge and he's like swinging this light around, you will fucking cry. You will get chills.
Yeah.
Don't try to be macho. If you're alone watching it, let it rush over you. You will get chills and you will probably cry.
Just let it happen. Let it flow.
Just let it happen to you, dude. The premise of that movie is really similar to the Ricky Gervais film, The Invention of Lying. You ever seen that?
I didn't see that one.
He lives in a world where no one knows lying doesn't exist. Everyone tells the truth all the time. And he's the first man to ever tell a lie. So everything he says, everyone believes.
This is amazing.
So he just goes to the bank and he's like, "There seems to be a mistake. When I checked my account, it said I didn't have anything in there." And they're like, "Well, what seems to be the problem?" He's like, "Well, I have like $80,000 in there." They're like, "Oh my gosh, we are so sorry, sir." And they just give him the money because lying doesn't exist.
That's amazing. I got to watch
So
that
it's
movie.
like, what do you do with that power? Because obviously it's kind of a character study, because at first he has fun with it. He gets the girl he always wanted because he lies to her. And I think he tells this one woman, "Everyone in the world's going to die unless you sleep with me." And she turns around and goes, how much time do we have?
Oh man, I gotta watch that one for sure.
Again, just checking in. Should we talk about Metallica? I mean, I'm literally just checking in. We don't have to.
I just want to wrap up the Yesterday movie. I kind of spoiled the trailer for people who haven't seen it, but go watch it if you're a Beatles fan.
Oh, come on. You spoiled the trailer. If you're the kind of person that... don't spoil the trailer for me.
I can't believe it. You spoiled the teaser.
You have some problems.
I think the concept of this movie is so
cool. I know, it's so cool.
I remember after I watched it a few times, the whole day I was thinking, what if I was the only one that knew about a certain band? What if I was the only one that knew about Metallica?
Would you use the power for good or well? The thing is, what do you do? I mean, if they've been wiped off the memories of all humankind, it's not like they don't know about it, and you can like show them a DVD. So you have to sing the songs. And what are you going to do? Say this is from a band that everyone mysteriously forgot overnight? No, you're going to be like, I wrote this song the other day. Mm-hmm. It's called Hello Goodbye. Yeah,
I wrote the song the other day. It's called Sad But True.
They're like, that's a Metallica song.
You're like, damn it, didn't work. Okay, back to Metallica, I guess.
All right. Okay.
So March 16th through May 8th, they're in Asia, Australia, New Zealand, South America. That's the one where Caius was on the tour. March 19th through July 4th is the European leg of the tour.
With the Cult and Suicidal?
With Suicidal and the Cult, yeah. So old Trujillo and the boys are getting to hang out throughout Europe, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing ends on July 4th in Werchter, Belgium, which there's a popular festival there now called Rock Werchter, which is one of the most well-put-together festivals I've ever played.
Ethan, the world traveler, reporting from his mini travels.
I like to consider myself a jet setter.
Yeah. A headset jet setter.
No big deal. I mean, it's just what it is.
Oh, NBD. NBD.
NBD, man.
WNBD.
WNBD.
Dude, Private Parts has aged really well. I don't know if you've watched that movie recently, the Howard Stern movie Private Parts.
I love that movie.
It's still as fucking hilarious as it was in 1998.
Awesome. I got to watch it again then.
November 20th. Go ahead.
I was gonna say now that I'm back on the road for the next couple of months, like you get a little more downtime on the road. You're not having to deal with like in person many home responsibilities, doing my yard, blah blah blah. So I need to dip into some more movie watching on this tour.
Oh, dude, I've been watching the Oceans franchise.
I know, man. You've been very vocal about it on Twitter, and I'm stoked for you because I love those movies.
I sort of on a whim watched the new one because it's on HBO, and I was kind of bored. I wasn't ready to sleep, and I wasn't really ready to watch something that I had to really care about. You know, there are those movies that occupy that kind of middle space where you can kind of veg out, but you're still watching it.
Sure, of course.
And I love Sandra Bullock. I think she's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very good, but it was fun. And I thought, you know what? These movies are just fun.
They totally. I think the Ocean's 11 remake, the first one they did with Clooney and stuff. I think that one's so much fun. That's such a good movie.
I watched it 2 nights ago. It's amazing. Totally holds up. It has some things about it. I mean, it was 2001. That's a long time ago.
Yeah,
18 years. A lot's changed. But I started Ocean's 12 last night and fell asleep. That's the most complicated one. That's kind of the outlier.
It is a little bit. Yeah.
It is funny though. It's the funniest one, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is. Tour ends. They got a couple months off, and then all of a sudden, November 23rd, live shit Binge and Purge is released.
Nice.
Which is cool that like Mexico City was like earlier that year.
Oh yeah.
That's that's awesome.
They knew they were going to document. I mean, they filmed all 5 nights. They only used kind of they were able to pick and choose. You know what sounded good.
Right.
What surprises me more is that the full shows they used, like from the San Diego gig, you know, they must have just been reviewing those shows and they're like, shit, man, this sounds good. I'm sure they did some kind of cleanups here and there, but.
Yeah, I mean, a lot harder back then, you know, because, you know.
Well, the suits at Elektra made us clean it up, but, yeah, right.
Lars really wanted to do 3 shows in Mexico City. The suits at Elektra wanted us to do 5.
Meanwhile, Lars and James are absolute perfectionists.
I know.
Oh, the suits at Elektra. Although they did put out that, what was that show we listened to from the Justice box set, the Troubadour show?
Oh man, that was rough sauce.
Woo.
That was a little rough.
People have been encouraging us to revisit the Justice box set because there are other shows in there that were tighter, and we'll do that in the future. But everyone is really, as far as I can tell from the feedback we're getting, loving the commentary episodes.
Yeah.
So we're going to obviously finish out all the studio records of Metallica. We're still doing the Explore the Big Four, even though we've only gotten... I think we're going to do Explore the Big Four for our next episode. We're going to do
I'll be home next... as you're listening to this, I'll be home. I'm home right now. Hey, I'm here.
Hi.
But we can... Yeah, we're going to do... What were we talking about doing? Rain and Blood? What are we doing next?
Seasons in the Abyss.
Seasons in the Abyss. That'll be a fun one.
And then I think we're also going to just start doing live shows, like notable live gigs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
man.
anyway, a lot of fun stuff coming up. So what's crazy to me is that live shit went 15 times platinum.
15 times platinum. I mean, this was their first live record.
They were making so much fucking money.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Well, because here's what was smart about it too. Is their first live record, and it was so smart of them to put Seattle '89 on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not just Black Album.
Exactly. You're kind of pleasing those old school fans that maybe didn't love the Black Album stuff.
Well, because people looked at it and said, "Oh, it's for the time. It was expensive, like $150 or whatever." But when they looked at it, and it was that road case, it was Seattle '89, the beloved Damaged Justice Arena tour, plus 2 full-on fucking Black Album era tours, and like live footage, full live show.
The great stuff.
I mean,
I've got it.
It was just smart to. I had it. God knows where it is. I have no fucking clue. Yeah. I don't know where so many things in my life are.
Yeah, there's things that I used to have that and not like a long time ago, like recently, where I'm like, where is that?
Well, what's crazy is that it's somewhere.
It is.
Like,
it's somewhere.
It didn't disintegrate. So my first car, no clue what happened to it. I just don't know. I simply don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the world.
Somewhere in the world.
If someone knew where it was, we could go to it.
Or it could have gone to a junkyard and gotten crushed.
Well, I'd like to go visit all the parts.
Yeah.
I'd like to go visit it someday.
Go pay your respects.
So does that pretty much wrap up 93?
Yeah, like I said, but at the top of the show, there's not aside from touring, there wasn't much that happened. I mean, there's some very cool stuff that happened, of course, but that was that was 93.
Well, let's rock it on into 1994.
Let's do it. Let's take a trip.
Let's take a trip all the way to 1994.
All the way into the future. Let's set the flux capacitor. So they basically at the end of that, they finish July 4th. They took off 7 to 8 months. They do a little thing, a live shit Binge and Purge contest in January. But yeah, they basically took off a ton of time. Rightfully so, and very well deserved. But in January, so they announced. We'll play a little clip of this in a bit, but they announced this Binge and Purge contest in November '93. I couldn't get exact dates on this, but Lars talks about in there. He's like, in about 10 weeks, we're gonna announce the winner or whatever. So I kind of pinned it at about. I think it was about late January of '94 is when they announced the winner of the live Binge and Purge contest. And the winner was this dude. He totally sounded like he was from the South. His name was B.J. Simpson. But the contest was you got flown out to the Bay Area to Jason's studio to hang out and jam with the band and go out to dinner with them.
The Chop House? Did he have that then?
I don't know if that was technically the Chop House or that was another a house he bought later.
What was his name? BJ what?
BJ Simpson. He got to bring a friend, and his name was RJ. It was BJ and RJ.
Well, I want to thank everybody about that. It's BJ Simpson, and I reckon I won the Binge and Purge contest, and they flew me out, and it was my first plane ride, and I was scared to go to the Turbidole and the tarmac, and but somehow I found the courage deep inside, and they flew me out to the Chop House, and I got to hang out with Jason Newsted, and he showed me how to play My Friend the Dizzery on the bass guitar.
My Friend the Dizzery?
Well, My Friend the Dizzery is just one of my favorite songs with Jason Newsted. To play that one.
So the whole contest was really cool. I want to insert a clip of Jason and Lars. This is them in late '93 talking about the contest.
Anyway, also, we got this cool contest thing happening, don't we, buddy?
God, we don't have enough time to talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna try to stick. We're gonna try to get it in. This here box is from the tour. Lars's wardrobe case, actually, from the last tour, and then you have a chance to win it. And inside comes cool things like Lars's tour jacket and some other broken sticks, dirty underwear, and
keys to our house,
keys to Lars's house, and
maps to where we live, the whole
and everything.
3 hours of studio time at Jason's personal studio.
Absolutely right. And what the deal is one lucky person out there is going to win this contest and come out to San Francisco to be fully abused by the 4 members of Metallica and presented with this, possibly.
And you get to even take the case home.
You get to take the case home and the stuff inside, and
what a deal.
there you go.
Can I enter?
Enter what?
The Sandman.
Do it! Enter the Sandman!
So they kind of go through. They seem a little slightly confused. Jason seems to be a little professional in the commentary on this, and Lars is kind of like, I'm not sure what's happening, because I think they're still kind of figuring out what all this guy was going to get. But the main thing was flying out to the Bay Area and to hang with all 4 dudes at Jason's studio.
What if it was just flying him out to the Bay Area? Like once he gets to the Oakland airport, they're just like, well, that was it. That's what we did. Yeah. Whatever you do from now is really up to you.
You're welcome to take a cab into the city and go get some food or something, but your next flight back to Cincinnati
is in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, you better hurry. There's a lot of traffic up here in the Bay Area. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool thing. They give him like one of the wardrobe cases from tour, and it's part of the contest, and all sorts of cool little things in there. It's like jam packed full of stuff. Anyway, so the guy gets to the house. We have BJ and RJ, I think.
Well, this is I'm BJ. That's my brother RJ, and then
pretty much, man. Like one dude, you'd think like he's a big fan. He wear a Metallica shirt. He's just wearing some like shirt that looks like he got at like Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or something. Like an airbrush thing.
Airbrush. That's so fucking 90s. But that may have been a thing where he was like, I'm gonna wear my Harvester Sorrow shirt when I meet Metallica. And he probably had his buddies like, dude, you can't wear a Metallica shirt when you meet him. You can't.
But then his buddy showed up in a Metallica shirt,
and probably to the utmost embarrassment of BJ.
Exactly.
Oh man, I can't believe you.
The first part of the video,
can't believe you wore that.
Come on, man. He did. I think RJ did it on purpose. Like, man, don't you wear a Metallica shirt? That would be kind of weird.
RJ, you do that on purpose, man. You knew I didn't.
Man. It was my last clean shirt, man.
RJ, BJ, listen. Really embarrassed me the other day when we were talking to Lars Ulrich and you wore a Metallica shirt. You told me you'd be a buddy and you wouldn't wear it, and then you showed up and guess what? You're wearing it. We need to talk ASAP. Call me back. Bye.
BJ, RJ here, brother. Hey, listen. I promise you, on my grandmama's grave, it was laundry day. It was my last clean shirt, and I had time to do laundry before I got to the airport to meet you, fly to San Francisco, where all that crazy stuff happens. Listen, I promise, honest accident. Call me back. Bye.
RJ, BJ, listen, laundry day, schmaundry day. If it's laundry day and you only have one shirt left and it's a Metallica shirt, on the very day we meet Lars Ulrich of Metallica, you show up with no shirt. And I don't care if you're embarrassed about the coiled snake tattoo you got on your left nipple. You need to be a buddy and do what I said when I said you won't embarrass me when you wear that shirt, but you wear the shirt anyway. We need to work this out because you're one of my best friends and you're my brother and my cousin. Bye.
BJ, RJ here. Listen, got your message, man. Listen, I know it's my last shirt. Listen, I ain't going to go shirtless through a damned old airport, okay? I think the TSA people, they'd probably put me in handcuffs and the crazy sound real quick. I thought about wearing it inside out, but I didn't want to show up in front of the boys in Metallica with the danged old shirt tag sticking off of it. And I can rip it off because I think it's like the mattress tags where it's against the law. Call me back. Bye.
RJ, BJ, got your message. It's not a point that escapes me. I understand what you're saying, and I know it's hard when you only have one t-shirt in the whole world, and when the whole world feels like it's towering above you and conspiring against you and determined to keep you from wearing other kinds of clothes. I'm just saying, on the very day we meet Lars Ulrich, you couldn't have gone and borrowed something, couldn't have gone to a tuxedo shop and maybe gotten something, maybe some penguin tail tuxedo. They like tuxedos. They would have go on to do S&M with the whole orchestra when Michael came before he died. Okay, now be a buddy, call me back. We need to get to the bottom of this. Bye.
BJ, RJ, calling you back again. I hate we keep missing each other, man, because we are best friends and all. Listen, I can't afford a damn tuxedo, and you know that, man. Listen, I'm going to give you some encouragement, man. I know how much you love that South Carolina shirt from Myrtle Beach with the airbrush design on it, man. That was the trip of your life. You saved up for it so you can take your girl there, man. Even though she broke up with you on the way there and you had to take her back home, you still went because you love it. And I think Lars, James, Jason, and Kirk all love the shirt too, man. Like, they love the beach. They love surfing, so surely they're going to love your airbrush Myrtle Beach, South Carolina shirt. Call me back. Bye.
BJ, listen, Myrtle Beach is like heaven on earth. I think if anyone knows that, it's you. And I paid $25, my last $25. I had to have that airbrush artist on the side of the road on 5th and Main paint me and Doris and Alicia and Toby and Louisa and Raleigh on that t-shirt. And I know that they're all characters of our faces, make our faces look big and fat and puffy, and that's kind of what's funny about it, and I thought the boys would like it when I met Metallica. Do me a favor, don't call me back. Bye.
Wow, RJ and BJ, man.
We need to get them in touch with Jason Brantley ASAP.
Yeah, ASAP. I think that they could, I think that's some good things to talk about.
So one of the things in this clip, though, is that you actually hear James playing the Rifted Devil's Dance.
Yeah, it's really. I had to go back a couple times. There's this point. I want to insert a clip of Lars talking. I think he's serious too. That him and James are at Jason's house for the first time for this thing, and they've been off for 7 months. Haven't seen each other since. So let's listen to that real quick, and then we'll go into this Devil's Dancing because it happens in the background. Maybe not this clip, but it's around here. Maybe I'll even play that clip too.
Ricky Rackman, you're hanging out with Lars and Metallica there, kind of behind. How long has it been since you guys have actually played together?
Long. It's been, about 7 months? July 4th last year. Pretty
Kind of
scary.
miss just stuff like getting in a room and jamming together?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Actually, you dreaded the fact that we actually brought you out of bed to get together and play again.
I know, I thought I had a year off, Yeah, I always get talked into this stuff. I don't understand.
You thought you had a year off about 2 months ago when you came to Headbangers Ball to talk about the video.
Frightening. No, it's cool. We're hanging at Jason's pad. This is me and James' first time out here. Got his drums, and we're just gonna have a little bash here with BJ, DJ, RJ,
and PJ.
Yeah, somebody. It'll be cool.
Very cool.
So yeah, I went back a few times and I was like, wait a second, because Rick. So it's kind of part of, I don't know if it's part of Headbangers Ball, but they're like Ricky Rackman's there like interviewing RJ and BJ and the guys and talking about the whole thing, and the dudes are super awkward, the RJ and BJ. But at one point, like I was like, what's James playing? Because he's literally just in the background just playing guitar and not being interviewed. And then all of a sudden I hear like da-doo, da-doo, da-doo. I was like, is that Devil's Dance? But I mean, you got to think. I mean, a year after this, they were about to go in the studio to record Load.
Oh, I have no doubt that a lot of that material was written while they were on the road because they were doing that kind of tuning room vibe even then. And if you ever kind of see footage of that, it's like them in a much smaller room with like combo amps, like little Mesa Boogie combo amps.
Yeah.
You ever seen those?
Totally. Oh yeah,
where they're kind of just rehearsing and stuff. And I know James likes to keep guitars with him in his hotel room. So and he was listening to a lot of Corrosion of Conformity and Alice, and I can see him getting riffs like that. And they were just enjoying that. They were seeing the power of a song like Sabbath True every night. They were obviously seeing the fucking record take off. So those sludgier, slower, groove-oriented riffs were probably that's what they were excited about.
Yeah, I'm sure that when James sat down to write riffs at home in hotels, I'm sure those riffs are just pouring out, those sludgy ones. But I do think it's funny in this video. There's a part where Kirk is showing showing BJ how to play Seek and Destroy, and at one point they ask him like he's clearly a guitar player. He's playing power chords and moving his hands around just fine. And Ricky Rackman at one point asked him, he's like, so now aside from this, how many Metallica songs do you know? He's like, none.
Wow.
It's like, dude, you won the Metallica contest. I think at the beginning of the video he says he sent in like 42 postcards to win this thing or something.
42 postcards?
Postcards. I guess you had to mail in something and maybe explain why you're the biggest fan.
I'll mail in postcards.
Man, I got some of them. I bought a bunch from South Carolina.
Hell, I got 41 and 2 from Myrtle Beach. Airbrushed all of them.
They're gorgeous, man. My grandmama loves them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of like diehards who, there's some Metallica nuts out there who know how to play every song. They're like seeing a guy like fucking BJ be like, I don't know any other than the one that Kirk Hammett just showed me. They're like, dude.
I'll bet there was diehard Metallica fans watching this thing air at the time. I couldn't find, this is the only video I could find on it. It was like a fairly poor quality, as you heard, like old VHS tape that somebody uploaded to YouTube. But I mean, even I was like, dude, you don't know any more songs? For real? But, it's cool. Like, he ends up jamming with the band, and like they play Seek and Destroy, and he does a pretty good job of it and stuff. And
that's good.
But there's one clip, dude, where RJ and BJ, like, it shows the band playing Harvester of Sorry. And thank you. And it pans over, and RJ and BJ are just standing still, just headbanging like Beavis and Butthead. It's so funny.
And who knows if like that was them or like the producers were like, headbang, come on, you guys should headbang.
I kind of have a feeling if it was those dudes. If you guys watch the video, you'll know it's like those dudes.
It's kind of the RJ BJ pathos. Is
I think they talked about it. I think they talked about it on the plane, like, all right, whenever they start playing, let's just start headbanging.
RJ, I think I felt my last brain cell jumble out of my ear hole just now.
So this whole thing ends with the band goes out to dinner with them at some restaurant, and they're hanging out, having fun, and then they wheel out this wardrobe road case from the Black Album tour, and they have them open it up, and all this shit starts falling out. Random stuff like a basketball and like clothes. But the main things are in there. There's like a snare drum. Yeah, there's a basketball in there. They just started throwing random
There's
shit
like
in
a
there.
signed Ken Griffey Jr. baseball. There's a World Series ring from 1972, a basketball, a soccer ball.
It's the weirdest thing. Like, I mean, I think they literally like left some stuff in there from like the dressing room. Like Lars opens a drawer and he pulls out like a bottle of like ibuprofen and stuff.
Wow.
But they did stash some stuff. And like there's a Lars snare drum in there. There's a bunch of drum heads, cymbals.
Are you sure it wasn't Nubrin?
Little. Yellow, different.
Nubrin.
And then they finally pull out like I couldn't see the headstock if it was an ESP or LTD, but either way, a cool black guitar. Looks like Kirk's, and all the guys signed it. So the dude got like that's
so cool.
It's a pretty amazing package. My first thought was, I wonder if the band's going to pay to ship that back to Ohio, where he's from.
Yeah, probably not. They're like, well, good luck.
Yeah, have fun checking that on the plane. It's
going to be $7,000.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up like that contest. I thought it was really cool, and a cool thing they did. And I thought it was interesting that like this was the first time at Jason's house to film this that they'd seen each other since the tour ended.
Wow.
Because they talk about it in it's like a 35-minute segment. They talk about it a little bit, and they're like, what have you guys been doing? They're like, we've been doing no Metallica stuff. Obviously, James was probably writing riffs on his own, and maybe him and Lars when we get together. But this was the first time they all sat and played together since the tour ended.
Wow.
So then moving on, we get to February. We got only one prominent thing happened, but we're back to the American Music Awards. They were nominated again for favorite heavy metal / hard rock artist, and they lost to Aerosmith.
So here's what they were up against in the pop. Well, let's see. Obviously, that's going to be the heavy metal. God damn it! So they were up against Aerosmith and Pearl Jam.
Yeah,
interesting.
Just three bands up for it, I guess.
Yeah, like every other category, there's a shitload.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why wouldn't. I mean,
Aerosmith also run
in
the pop rock category that year too.
Yeah, well, that was early '90s were big for Aerosmith.
Well, that would have been Get a Grip. So, yeah, Dr. Dre won, rap hip hop. Kenny G won, Tony Braxton. The Bodyguard soundtrack, remember that?
That was massive.
Fucking Chattahoochee, Alan Jackson. Holy shit, John Michael Montgomery. Whoa. This is a fucking In Vogue.
Ooh, never gonna get it, never gonna get it.
And I will always
love you.
Here's who performed. Tony Braxton did Another Sad Love Song. Springsteen did Streets of Philadelphia, which, by the way, amazing song from the film Philadelphia. Yep. Snoop and Dre did Gin and Juice on fucking television.
Hell yes.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince did I Wanna Rock. Whitney Houston did I'm Telling You I'm Not Going and I Have Nothing. Wow. What a snapshot of a time.
I know, man. That's
Gotta love
crazy.
that early 90s TV shit.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, well, what else we got?
What else we got? We got here, moving along. April 11th, they released one live single.
Okay.
One, the song, a live version from Mexico City on Live Shit. I'm guessing this is just to promote the Live Shit Binge and Purge box set.
Yeah.
Continue to promote at this point. The B-sides were live versions of Whiplash, Bells, and Last Caress. It's whatever. It's like one's, X amount of years old at this point, and they just, it's just a promo thing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a completist, that's cool. If you're kind of just a cash in terms of getting all the shit they put out, for me, that's kind of blah. Whatever.
Right.
I mean, how many fucking versions of Last Caress do we need from Metallica? I feel like they put that on everything.
I know. Well, the Last Caress, and they've reused a lot of those B-sides from that era on other things, which is fine. Whatever,
it's fine.
A lot of the diehard collectors probably have all that stuff. You know, I don't need all that stuff personally.
Nope.
And if I had it, I'd probably lose it and then wonder where it was.
Yep.
Moving on, we fast forward. I'm assuming in between April 11th and May 30th, there's probably some rehearsals going on, gearing up for the Shit Hits the Shed tour, which started on May 30th in Cornfu, New York, which is basically like the Buffalo area.
Wow.
It's the Darien Lake Center. Have you ever played there?
It's the Darius Rucker Center.
The Darius Rucker Amphitheater.
It's the Hootie and the Blowfish Pavilion, and from what I understand, it's quite a happening place.
It's pretty happening, man.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
Totally, it's the letter Cry Amphitheater.
Have you ever done any country shows up there with Rodney at Darien Lake? It's right next to Six Flags and stuff.
We do upstate New York stuff. In fact, we're about to camp out there for several weeks. Like, we do a lot of like Albany, Rochester, Poughkeepsie. We do a lot of Jersey. They're big country fans up there.
Yeah. I didn't even think you and I need to compare tour schedules. What if we're in the same city at one point?
Oh my God! Don't.
What if we could record an episode together in a hotel room?
Don't you dare excite me about things like that.
Oh my goodness! Because I know that do have an Albany date on this tour.
Well, we'll have to do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, maybe we won't go into that tangent on the show right now, but eventually we'll do it. We'll do it on our private time.
So many of our listeners are like, "Thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God."
Oh my God!
They can like sense it. They can sort of sense the show derailing, and they're like, "No, hold it together, hold it together,
don't." So March 2nd.
So hold on, I'm looking at Master Tour.
Yeah, 1 second.
Wait, but that's a day off. Hold on, that's a day off.
Hang on, the app froze. 1 second.
Let me restart my phone. Hold on. Oh wait, you're restarting your phone? Let me talk about Dave Matthews.
Perfect.
Okay.
Man, this tour was pretty cool, man. 51 shows in the U.S. and Canada only. Supporting acts were Danzig, Suicidal Tendencies again, Candlebox, and Fight, which is, we'll get into why Candlebox was there. Mm-hmm. Fight, which was Rob Halford's band after he left Judas Priest in '92.
Weird.
So let's go to the elephant in the room, Candlebox. Doesn't really make much sense to me, but they were a pretty popular band at the time. Alice in Chains was supposed to be one of the openers, but pulled out because of Lane Staley's drug addiction.
Right.
Which will pop up again in later in '94. It's just a bummer, man. That I understand drug addiction is a serious thing, and some people have these demons that they can't kick. But this is past, I think, like a normal drug addiction. I mean, he's messing up everyone else's life that need to make money and make a living, and because he's hooked on heroin.
Yeah, and as we all know now, it would go on to kill him. And
yeah,
there's a kind of a disturbing video of like James making fun of him. They're singing like Man in the Box, and he's like singing about being a junkie, which is kind of fair game because Lane sang a lot about being a junkie also.
Yeah, totally.
But James is kind of that, definitely of the ethos of like, you have a feeling that they were big drinkers and partiers, but kind of looked down on like hard drugs, and how hard drugs would keep you from being able to deliver your product to the people.
Mm-hmm.
It was like kind of their problem with the gun stuff, and even Jason's talked a lot about the Van Halen Monsters of Rock tour, where he's like, I learned a lot about what not to do on that tour, and he's like, I'm basically talking about cocaine.
Yeah,
I basically watched all these fucking coke heads, and I was like, I'm never doing that,
Yeah, that's smart. Hey, smart dude.
But that would have been Alice in their prime. I mean, that would have been post Dirt.
So do you think that Alice in Chains or Danzig would have been direct support?
Ooh, good question.
Because Danzig was
Mother
Mother '93. That was it got like re-released as a live version.
But I don't
think massive.
But I don't think Mother '93 could fuck with the 1-2 punch of Man in the Box and Wood. And you also got Rooster, Down in a Hole, Them Bones, Man in the Box, We Die Young. But Wood was on the single soundtrack, which was a huge film in '92.
Yep. I almost bought that vinyl today, by the way.
Oh, I didn't even know that was reissued on vinyl.
Yeah, I saw it today at a record store, but I already bought a couple things. Which, by the way, I will make a quick little side note here, little tangent world.
Okay.
We've talked about on the show, like you're starting to get some, some cassettes. You've got Anal Vomit. Mm-hmm. I might have picked up a little cassette from my friend Clint Wells today, which I'll give to you next week, and we'll have to talk about in the next episode. And I will tell you this: I wanted to get you something that was on par with Anal Vomit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I originally found something, and I turned it over, and it was definitely a local metal band, but it was only 4 songs, and it was $17. I was like, look, I love Clint, and I'm sure this band's cool, but I'm looking for cassettes. Like,
I mean, what's going through their heads? They're like, they're like in their local record store, like, would you guys mind selling this, putting this in your local bin? Like, yeah, sure. What do you want to price it at? We'd like you to price it at $17.
Yeah, it was $16.99.
So that we can ensure no one ever buys it.
Yeah, we want these 2 copies that Ethan Luck saw today to stay here forever.
Well, I appreciate you thinking of me, and I appreciate that my name is now tethered to the phrase anal vomit, and that I'm now known as a guy that likes to collect things like that.
Right. Well, all I have to say is that I picked up a cassette for you today for $1.99, and it's awesome, and I think you're going to love it.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you for thinking of me.
And I think it's a bit out of your realm of your musical taste, I think, but I think you're going to love it. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say. Okay. You guys will all find out next week.
Okay.
Man, I think, God, if Alice in Chains direct support for Metallica would have been just incredible.
They did direct support for Kiss on their reunion tour in '96. I was actually watching one of those shows the other night, and it's so interesting because it's obviously like a fan bootleg VHS or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of rough to watch.
Well, I mean, those were some of his last shows with Lane Staley's.
Like, you can see Jerry sort of looking across the stage, checking on him throughout the whole show. And, and Jerry, like, he moves around a lot. He likes to rock, you know?
Yeah.
But he's sort of locked into, like, checking on Lane, and Lane's just fucking never moves. He has that thing where he shakes his head fast, but you can just tell he's, like, pushing through, like, a heroin binge, you know?
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, there was one of the, I think, was it the last show or one of them, he like OD'd and had to go to the hospital.
I recently...
Like in, where was it? Like Oklahoma City or something?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
On the Kiss tour?
On the Kiss tour, yeah.
Damn. I recently listened to the Unplugged album. It's not great. You can kind of hear that he's fucked up.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's some good moments on there for sure.
I used to love that record when I was a kid, but he sounds pretty weak on it.
Yeah, I mean, that guy was messed up for a long time. It's really tragic, you know. I mean, what a talent that, you know, he let those drugs get the best of him, man. It sucks.
Yeah, it does. Well, I'm sure that Candlebox was a real big head scratcher for everybody involved, and I bet I'm willing to bet you they were a Q Prime artist.
Probably, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure their Metallica fans were probably not stoked when Candlebox came out and played Far Behind.
Totally.
It's like, look, yeah, we like Metallica. We got Unforgiven and Nothing Else Matters, but like, I don't know. They're definitely the sore thumb. Surely they could have thought of another band to play, but you're probably right. They could have been on Q Prime.
I'm trying to find out. I don't really know how to. I just typed in Candlebox Q Prime, and it's not bringing me the results I desired.
Well, kind of cool that Rob Halford's on the tour, though. I mean, I'm guessing his band was like the opening band, which is weird.
See, that's got to be weird too. It'd be like
or Candlebox. I don't know.
Candlebox had to have been first of 4, and then maybe Rob's band, which is super weird because that'd be like Ozzy starting a new band and opening, or Bruce Dickinson.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Rob Halford is a huge hero to those dudes. They're huge Priest fans.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And we'll get to another Rob Halford moment coming up here soon. But what else we got here? This was also the last tour that Metallica tuned to E standard. They changed to E flat because Hetfield's voice was kind of getting, was deteriorating because of how much touring they were doing with the Black Album, and that would go on and now become like their sound,
This, when you have this note here that's also when Lars went down to 2 rack toms with his hi-hat and Ride Closer. On the Jerry Cantrell episode of It's Electric, which is out now, Lars's radio show, he tells a story about, in this time, 94, going to Alice in Chains' rehearsal space. He was just hanging with Jerry. And I guess they went to the rehearsal space like on a night off, and he kind of sat behind Sean Kinney's kit, and that's how Sean Kinney had his kit set up.
Yeah, he talks about it also when we talked to Tom Quee last week. He also mentioned that same story in those Guitar Center videos.
Oh yeah, there you go. Sorry, that's probably what I got it from.
Yeah, but cool that he like sat down and was like, wow, like, I never thought about doing this, and like this makes it easier, or maybe he can, I don't know, like something clicked and that's literally been his setup ever since.
Well, and I can imagine Lars too, because Sean Kinney is such a badass fucking drummer.
Oh yeah,
and so understated. I can imagine Lars being an Alice fan, of course, being tight with Jerry, and like admiring Sean Kinney. So when he kind of sat down, and I bet when he saw his kit sitting there, he's like, "Ooh, I want to go sit down and see what it feels like to sit behind Sean's kit."
Right,
just
exactly.
The same way you or I would, even though I did not do. I restrained myself in the tuning room. Me and Paul both did from touching any of the gear. We were very much like, man, arigato, thank you.
Arigato,
thank you.
Well, let's listen to a quick little clip of Lars talking about that moment in Seattle.
That's the only setup I've played since the summer of '94. Before that, I had 2 extra rack toms, a small one there and a big one there. And so what that did, it pushed the hi-hat really far this way and the ride cymbal really far. So I would play the ride and the hi-hat like this. And I was hanging out with Jerry Cantrell up in Seattle and went to an Alice in Chains rehearsal room and played Sean Kinney's drums. And he had just 2 rack toms in front of me. Actually, I think just 1 maybe. And his hi-hat sat in front of him rather than on his side. I go, that's pretty cool. And that was a lot easier to play. So I lost the 2 rack toms on the sides. That's probably been the only change since then. Oh, I think that the second floor tom back there was affectionately dubbed the coffee table for many years because it was never actually used for anything other than to put, drinks on or sticks.
This is where you have the note about the God That Failed debuted at the first show of the Shit It's the Sheds tour in Miami, Florida. They would go on to play it 87 more times, but how about getting a debut like that? I guess at the time that wasn't that shocking. Although they're on their third year of touring the album. You know, some diehards like me and you would have been these guys back then. Like, they haven't played God That Failed yet.
Yeah, what the heck? Come on, guys. That's the one I mentioned earlier when we were back in '93, all the way back in '93, when I couldn't remember which song it was. That they did play a total of 88 times, and it was the God That Failed.
Cool.
But yeah, debuted that at the first show, and pretty. I mean, Jason gets his bass intro. And
they had to hire a guy to come out and cock a gun for the intro.
Totally.
They paid him $4,000 a week.
Phew, I would have taken that job.
Kept him on retainer, yeah.
August 9th, we get a little bit of Alice in Chains teaser here because they couldn't do the tour, but Jerry Cantrell joins Metallica on stage for Who and the Bell Tolls in Oklahoma City, which I don't know if he's back in Seattle, but I know there was a long period of time. I think isn't he from Oklahoma, Jerry Cantrell?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe he was still living there and just came out to the show, and they're like, hey, you want to play a song with us? Yeah, sounds good.
He must have an affinity for that song, too, because when he played with them on the 30th anniversary shows in 2011, I believe that's also the song he played. Okay.
Maybe it's his favorite Metallica song, and they know it.
Well, good taste. He might be maybe a lightning guy.
Very good taste. Speaking of their relationship, man, I love that they've had a long-standing relationship. Like everything from that to what Lars just talked about in Seattle and Sean Kinney's kit, to when they reformed William Duvall and James singing Wood with them at a festival in Europe. It's like they just have this great like friendship and musical camaraderie. I just admire it. I love it.
Yeah, I love them showing up at the Unplugged show. I remember reading like a 60 Minutes with James Hetfield where he talked about how Them Bones was like a warm-up song he would listen to before a gig because it just got him pumped up.
Yeah.
So then we're moving on to Woodstock 94, which what a weird gig that was. Not Metallica, I'm talking about the whole gig.
The whole gig, yeah. But Woodstock was they're in the middle of this tour, and Woodstock was kind of just a one-off to do. It's super weird. I mean, they were very close to the original Woodstock site, I think within like 30 miles. There's some. I put out some facts about the Woodstock '94 because it was. If you haven't watched a lot of this footage, there's some what are now like famous performances from this thing.
Oh yeah.
It was the 25th anniversary of the original festival. Other acts that played the same day as Metallica included Joe Cocker, Blind Melon, Rollins Band, Nine Inch Nails, Cranberries, Primus, and of course Salt and Pepper. This is probably that era when Salt and Pepper kind of had a resurgence again with What a Man.
I just like hearing you say Peppa.
What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
Was a mighty, mighty good man.
Good man. Say it again, yo.
Was that not that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was Salt and Pepper within Vogue, right?
It was. You're
I believe
correct.
that was an in vogue. What do you call that? A crossover or like a?
Call that a collab.
A collab. You put the abbrev on collab. I like that.
Yeah, you got to abbrev a little bit from time to time.
Of course, it was getting late, so we need to. In order to get the show streamlined, we put a few abbreves on some things.
Totally. This fact is mind blowing to me. Okay, 164,000 tickets are sold. That's already crazy, right? So the attendance estimate was around 550,000 people, and the reason for that was because the surrounding area, the border of the festival grounds was just a chain link fence. So it was impossible. It was impossible to control the amount of people that were coming in, what they were bringing in. There was like reports of people like coming in by the groups bringing in like illegal substances to like beer they're not supposed to bring in, all sorts of food, all this stuff. And it got to the point where they just couldn't control it. Like we talked earlier about the Moscow show, where like that many people, you just can't control that anymore. And it's just crazy that like, I mean, that many people basically got into the show for free.
Wow. Through one little hole in the fence.
There's some guy back there with some wire cutters, and he finally got through. He's like, come on, guys, this way.
Yeah, were there just like 800 buses full of people waiting for that hole in the fence? Like,
I just insane. I mean, I'm sure at a certain point, the festival organizers and security probably saw how many people were coming in, and not knowing where they were coming from. It's like, well, shit, we can't stop that. We can't walk over them and be like, turn around, please.
Right.
Like, you just have to let it happen. And like, okay, here we go. But this was the Green Day performance where Billy Joe started the mud fight. There's a story of Les Claypool when they played the Primus song, My Name is Mud. The crowd started throwing mud at him, and he claims that like there's still dried mud in his bass cabinet to this day.
Wow.
Which is awesome. And again, back to Alice in Chains, they were supposed to perform and pulled out because of Lane Staley.
Yeah, that sucks.
Totally sucks, man. Like, to be able to play something this historic and you can't do it.
One of the things Jerry talks about in the interview with Lars is, I guess Lars is asking him, like, was there a big grand plan when you got William or when you wanted to start playing shows again? And Jerry's like, not really. He's like, it was kind of Sean's idea, do a benefit. We get our friends up there. Because, they're tight with, like, the Hart, Nancy, and the other Hart chick. Oh, God, why can't I think of her name? Ann, yeah. Dude, Barracuda came on into my studio earlier today, and I was just like, that fucking band was so good, dude.
Oh, dude.
Magic Man, Barracuda, and Crazy on You, and Dreamboat.
Crazy on You is such a good song.
But anyway, so he talks about how, they were like, like, we miss our buddy. Like, it sucks that our buddy can't be here, talking about Lane, of course. They're like, but like, this is our music, and the music's still powerful. When the three of us play together, it sounds like Alice in Chains. I wrote most of it, and just sort of go, like, I guess, like, sort of discovering himself that, like, he could take ownership of it again.
Yeah,
and then you
for
just
sure.
gotta think about all the fucking things that they couldn't do because Lane was an addict,
Yeah, totally, man.
And it must be so nice, because now William's been in the band how long? 12 years or something?
Something like that, yeah.
So he's probably been in the band as long as, if not longer, than Lane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And I mean, I agree with Jerry. Like, when those three, that's the rhythm section, I mean, whether it was Mike Inez or Mike Starr, it's like, those dudes are the sound of Alice in Chains, the rhythmic sound of Alice in Chains.
I agree. And I was so pleasantly surprised that their new record, Rainier Fog, which, again, can't recommend enough, so surprised at how much it sounds like classic Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
And it's just
it's
because
really good.
Because it's Jerry writing it and Jerry singing it, and it's those three dudes. And William Duvall, he sounds great, He's a great addition. And he wrote one of the songs on there called Never Fade Away, and he wrote it all by himself. It sounds like a classic Alice song. So
that's so awesome.
Really cool, right?
He's got a great voice. When I got to see them at the Ryman, man, he blew me away. His range is great. He's a great guitar player. Him and Jerry sound great together. So there's a little Woodstock interview clip. It's, again, Ricky Rackman talking to them. And at this point, Ricky Rackman's like early to mid 90s. He's got like frosted tips. It's like very telling of the era. Mm-hmm. But it's really funny because, like, it seems like Metallica just showed up. Like, they talk about Nine Inch Nails are on stage right now, and Nine Inch Nails was played right before Metallica. So, like, they don't probably have much time, unless it's probably a thing where like one stage is on, and then when that's done, the next stage plays and whatever. So, but it's like they're kind of confused on like what's happening, and like they're not quite sure who's all playing. And they finally, like, Aerosmith played after Metallica that night. They headlined.
Right.
But it's really funny. So let's listen to that real quick.
Are there any bands that you're, I mean, I know you guys just pulled up. Are there any bands that are playing tonight that you're looking forward to seeing or through the next days?
We don't even know who's playing.
You don't know who's playing?
Oh, we know Aerosmith is playing. I look forward to seeing them.
Because Aerosmith goes on right after you.
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails are playing right now. So is there anything you're looking forward to about the whole, I mean, are you into like the whole
We're starting to get vibe now. We're just, you know. You gotta understand, we've been...
People that maybe haven't heard of Metallica here.
I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that. I think pretty much what I've heard is everybody's
heard any of the old stuff.
I think what's been happening, everybody's been looking at the crowd and saying, what's going to happen when Metallica plays is pretty much. But here's a band that I know that you're a big fan of, Lars. Here is the Spin Doctors.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. And Lars, they're like, "Who are you looking forward to see?" He's like, they're just both blank. And he finally goes, Aerosmith.
That's funny. That's like the scene in Wayne's World 2 when they announced they're going to do Waynestock.
Yeah.
Like, who's coming to Waynestock? He's just like looking around the room, like Van Halen and Pearl Jam, and Garth's like, "Whoa, really?
Whoa, really?" He's like, "Yep." So here's the set list they played. A lot of cool stuff in here. Bread Fan, Puppets, Rome, Harvester Sorrow, Fade to Black, Bells, Seek and Destroy, Kirk does a guitar solo, Nothing Else Matters, Creeping Death, Whiplash, The Encore, Sabbath True 1, Entertainment, and So What. And I want to, when they played Bells, there's a pretty funny clip where James, you think he's going to like introduce the whole band, but then he's just introducing Jason to do the intro from the Bell Tolls. It's pretty hilarious how he introduces them. It's real short.
We like it plenty loud. Get funky with your friends at Metallica, man. Come on. In this corner, playing bass guitar for heavy metal group Metallica, Jason Newsted. Jason's got something to play for you, man. Play him something real good like that. Hey, y'all out there, put all your ears over on Jason. He's got something for you, man. Do it again.
I just love that he goes into like a ring announcer voice. And in this corner.
That's nice. How's in the video? How's Jason taking it? Taking it.
He's in work mode. He's already like playing. They're kind of like, you know, Lars is hitting the kick drum. They're kind of jamming a little bit.
He's like building a shed on the stage.
Totally. He's building a shed for sure. I mean, he's got that mean Jason look on his face. He's in the zone.
Well, you know, when they were making Garage Days Revisited, he was like, he took a bunch of like soundproofing shit and built that into the garage.
Yeah,
he likes to build things.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Yeah, sometimes you got to shed some wood, man.
Oh my god, dude, totally.
Like seriously, like just shed wood and like just build stuff.
Just fucking get on the 101 and just fucking drive up to Sausalito.
Seriously, or just get out the Joshua Tree and like be like meditative or something.
Dude, one time, like just going to Joshua Tree and just like taking peyote and just like opening my fucking third eye, like squeeging my third eye. And an alien took me up on the fucking mothership for like 75,000 years.
Oh, we went to another dimension, bro. It was insane.
It was spiritual. It was dimensional.
And they had the best fish tacos ever.
Oh my god, dude. Patchouli coming out of my butt forever. All right, and the last note we have, August 21st, the last show.
Last show, the Shit's Shed tour. And this was a cool moment. The very last show of the tour in Miami.
Will Smith showed up. And
Will Smith is there. It's crazy.
Played Men in Black, the titular song from Men in Black.
Exactly.
Please enjoy this clip.
They bring out Rob Halford on stage with Metallica to play Judas Priest Rapid Fire.
Very cool.
I thought it'd be fun to listen to maybe 30 seconds of this.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Hey, you guys want some more? Well, since it's the fucking last night of the tour and all this shit, we thought we'd bring a new friend out with us here. and do an old tune. Hope you guys are gonna fucking dig it. We fucking love playing this shit here. So I'm gonna bring our friend out, Mr. Robert Halford. Hell yeah! So a fight, and we're gonna do an old priest tune, right? Yeah. Tell them what it's all about, man.
This is a song from a Priest album called British Steel. You all remember that one, don't you? Yeah. This is called Rapid Fire!
All right. Well,
there we go.
You know, not a lot happened, and yet a lot happened. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
That's right. And you know what? In the next year, they go on to make what would seem like a disappointment to a lot of their fans, but our beloved Load and Reload sessions.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, 95 through 2000 is going to be so fun. And, you know, for those of you keeping score out there in Metal Up Your Podcast land, so we kind of punctuate. These episodes are a little easier to do, especially when we're both in different cities. So who knows? We may be ramping these up in March. But we do have a lot of cool stuff planned. We're going to get Squindo, the artist, on. We're getting Chad, James's guitar tech, on. What else? We have other stuff lined up too, right?
We have James Hetfield coming up soon. He should be showing. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna next week we'll be doing listen to Seasons in the Abyss.
And you heard Ethan's tour dates at the top of the show. If you guys are heading out, or you live in any of those cities and you want to head out to the show, make sure you send us an email. We love feedback. We love hearing from our fans and our listeners. metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. Do go leave the positive review on iTunes. It just goes a long way. It's super easy to do. You've been putting it off. You like the show. You listen every week. You look forward to it every week, but you haven't left the review. Go do it.
Come on. It's been 2 years. Over 2 years
now.
Do
it for Lucius.
Do it for Lucius. Do it for RJ and BJ.
Also, yeah, we need to pay their phone bill because it's just going straight to voicemail because they haven't paid their phone bill. So,
do you think that BJ still has that road case?
I was actually thinking about that earlier. Like, it'd be fun to track him down and talk to him about it.
That would be pretty awesome.
Maybe he lives in the road case. Maybe
he does.
Maybe a lot's happened in the last 25 years.
Well, maybe someone listening knows. I'm pretty sure in the video he's from Cincinnati. So hey, maybe someone knows old RJ and BJ.
Maybe our friend Stephanie knows. I think she's over there in Cincinnati or in Ohio.
She's an Ohioan.
An Ohioan.
Ohioan.
Should we say anything else before we split?
I think we should say goodnight because it's late.
Yeah. All right. Peace.
Adios.
If you were our advisor, what would you say? And then I would say, delete that.